Asante Mheshimiwa Spika kwa kunipa fursa hii kuchangia malalamiko ambayo yameletwa bungeni na Senator Mbito. Mheshimiwa Spika, kwanza ningeweza kupongeza Senator Mbito na shule hiyo ya Kitale kwa kuamua kuleta malalamiko haya katika bunge la Senate. Pili, Mheshimiwa Spika, malalamiko yaliyoletwa yanaonyesha vile ulaghai na ukosefu wa maadili ambao umewakumba baadhi ya viongozi katika jamhuri yetu ya Kenya. Mheshimiwa Spika, haiwezekani kwamba wewe kama mlezi, mtu amechaguliwa kama mlezi wa shule, yeye awe wa kwanza kuchukua ardhi ya shule kwa maslahi ya kibinafsi. Hiyo Mheshimiwa Spika ni ukosefu wa maadili na lazima kama bunge la Senate tukemee swala kama hilo. Mheshimiwa Spika, hii sio kesi peke yake ya shughuli kama hizi. Kuna shule nyingi ambazo ardhi zao zilinyakuliwa wakati wa nyuma katika hali kama hizi, ambapo wale ambao walikuwa wakinyakua walikuwa labda ni viongozi kama madiwani, kuna wengine wabunge, wengine washiriki ama wakurugenzi katika mashirika mbalimbali ya serikali. Kwa hivyo ni jambo ambalo tunafaa kulikemea sana kama bunge. Mheshimiwa Spika, pia jambo la kusikitisha ni kwamba kwa muda zaidi ya miaka 10 sasa tumekuwa na tume ya ardhi, National Land Commission, ambao hizi ni baadhi ya kazi ambazo walikuwa watakana wafanye ili zile ardhi zote za umma ambazo zilikuwa zimeibiwa ziweze kurejeshwa. Kwa hiyo Mheshimiwa Spika, nina imani kwamba kamati ya ardhi ikiongozwa na Mheshimiwa Githiomi itakisimama kidete kuhakikisha kwamba ardhi hii inarudi kwa ile shule ya Kitale ambao kutoka walipopewa ardhi, Mheshimiwa Spika, ni zaidi ya miaka 80 sasa. Na inafaa kwamba ardhi kama hii iweze, kwa sababu shule kama ile ikiwa itapanuka mpaka iwe na sekondari na university, itakuwa ni jambo ambalo litasaidia kuinua elimu katika eneo la Kitale na nchi yetu kwa jumla. Asante Mheshimiwa Spika.
Senator Mohamud.
Mr. Speaker, let me also support the petition by a colleague from Trans Nzoia. Mr. Speaker, land issues are very important in this country, especially public land, where people keep grabbing. You remember the Ndungu Land Commission, which was, there in place some years back. Nothing was acted on. Every other time something is brought up about land being grabbed, in fact, it just passes. Now we're hearing the people who are entrusted with running the school are now grabbing the school land. I think the stories have no end. So, Speaker, I urge the committee, for whatever they can, to do their best so that this matter is brought to dealt with the Senate it deserves. So, Speaker, I think Kenyans' psyche about land must change. Leaders who are supposed to be custodians of public trust are actually dealing with the ones who are grabbing. We hear every day about these things. I hope this matter which is brought by the Senator will be dealt with, because it is a very serious matter. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Zani.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The petitioner of this petition has actually a lot of trust in the Senate and is requesting the Senate to resolve something they have tried to resolve through various mechanisms, through the National Land Commission. They have appealed to the report of the Ndungu report, through Senator Orengo's ministerial order. Mr. Speaker, it's not unusual now when you go around various places that you see schools have demarcated. They have actually put walls. The nursery schools have even put their, ABCD and playing balls and skipping ropes, just to show that this is a school. It's like it's a coded message to say, please do not take over this school. It belongs to people. And despite that, you still find there are lots of land grabbing cases for schools. I think Nairobi County is set to address this shortly. This is something that needs to be addressed, I think, across the whole country. Kitale Primary School is the one that is coming with this. So despite all this, despite an application for a private title, the hook between the public and the private land, the fact that this person was a trustee and member of the board of governors within the school, as it has been said, then those who are more attached and closer to the schools are the culprits of some of these acts. So the solution might lie in digitalization of land titles, which is a process I think that should be run as expeditiously as possible across the country. This is an issue affecting land ownership and titles at the school level. But even at individual levels, many Kenyans are having this problem. It is a high time that this is solved, and I'm hoping that this committee will be able to address this satisfactorily. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I see a lot of interest, but unfortunately we have to move because we have other things to do. So, Honorable Senators, pursuant to Standing Order 2321, the petition should be committed to the relevant standing committee for its consideration. In this case, I direct that the petition be committed to the Standing Committee on Land, Environment and Natural Resources. In terms of Standing Order 232, the committee is required in not more than 60 calendar days from the time of reading the prayer to respond to the petitioner by way of a report addressed to the petitioner and laid on the table of the Senate. I thank you. Next order. Senator Maruma, what's your point of order?
Chair, just a point of order, so that we get to know what is happening maybe at the liaison level. Sometimes we send our chair to request for more funding so that we reorganize our lands committee. I'm saying this because of what Senator Cherargei has said, that there's a lot of pending work at the lands committee. And how I wish that we look at how, as a house, we're going to finance the activities within the lands committee. We can even have maybe more membership, or we go into subcommittees, but the problem has been financing all through. There are so many pending issues in Kenya in as far as the lands committee is concerned. Maybe you need to use your wisdom and your good leadership, Chair, Speaker, so that you can see how lands committee can perform better. I thank you, Chair.
Your point is noted, but again, every committee will have something to say about wanting more funds. This is not the first time the matter has come up. Even CPAC has said education. So normally when we get these funds, I think in the liaison committee, we sit and look at, and make sure that at least every committee gets something reasonable that can make sure that they work. But your sentiments are noted. The liaison will look at it. Next order.
Order number 5, papers.
Majority? Or majority, okay, majority leader. Can see Senator Kibiru with a new hairstyle.
Mr. Speaker, on behalf of the majority leader, and the Olekina, stop looking at me badly. I do here, Mr. Speaker, lay the following papers on the table of the on the table of the Senate today, Wednesday, 17th February 2021. The annual report and the financial statement for of the Commission on Revenue Allocation for the year 2018-2019, report of the Auditor General on the financial statement of Assembly of Taita Taveta for the year ended 30th June 2019, report of the Auditor General on the financial report of County Executive of Tana River for the year ended 30th June 2019, report of the Auditor General on the financial statement of the County Assembly of Garissa for the year ended 30th June 2019, and report of the Auditor General on the financial statement of Garissa County Executive for the year ended June 2019. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Next order. What's your point of order, Senator Sylvia? So, proceed, Senator Kasanga.
Yeah, Mr. Speaker, there was a report when the ad hoc committee of COVID was still live. We had asked for a report from the Auditor General on the expenditure for counties on the COVID funds, and I'm aware that the report was tabled, but it has not been committed to any committee so that they can look into it. I'm seeking your direction, Mr. Speaker, on that report.
Okay, the Secretariat will have to check and bring me to speed on where it is. Thank you. Next order.
Order number 6, notices of motion.
Senator Sylvia Kasanga.
Mr. Speaker, I beg to give notice of motion that whereas Kenya is a multi-ethnic and multiracial country with rich and diverse cultural resources such as traditional medicine and foods, arts, crafts, music, dances, dress, amongst others, aware that the Constitution in its preamble acknowledges the cultural diversity of the Kenyan people who are determined to live in peace and unity as one indivisible sovereign nation, whilst Article 11 of the Kenyan Constitution recognizes culture as the foundation of a nation, noting that while the Department of Culture under the Ministry of Sports and Culture and Heritage has been playing some of the key roles in promotion of cultural integration, formulation of policies and standards that will guide the development of culture, little information has been available to the Kenyan public. Acknowledging that culture performs a significant role in the life of a child, the cultural background in which a child is brought up affects the totality of his or her life's activities. Concerned that our children are losing their sense of identity due to the negative influences.
Let's consult order. Let's consult in low tones. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Due to inadequate cultural identity catalyzed by globalization that has led to catastrophic consequences to the next generation, as experienced in our country, where a majority of young people are showing symptoms of feeling suicidal, anxious, feeling hopelessness, anger, violence, feeling isolated, and paranoia. Now, therefore, the Senate urges the Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Sports, Culture, and Heritage to formulate cultural development policies and initiatives to inculcate stronger community values, safeguard Kenya's heritage, recognize local heroes, and promote sociocultural opportunities in the counties, and B, formulate strategies to create an enabling environment for the protection and promotion of diversity of cultural expressions in all counties. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Abdullahi Ali.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I wish to, Mr. Speaker, sir, aware that many, this is a notice of motion on parking charges in public institutions offering essential services. I had brought earlier a statement and I decided to upgrade it to parking, to note motion. Aware that many urban areas and towns in Kenya lack designated car parking areas as a result of imbalance between parking supply and demand, mainly due to ineffective land use, planning, and miscalculation of space requirement, thereby leading to exorbitant parking fees. Noting that most essential services offered.
Order, senators.
Noting that most essential services offered in hospitals, educational institutions, and other public utilities are offered in urban centers, shopping malls, and other designated areas that charge parking fees to access. Acknowledging that whether they are delivered by public or private providers.
Order, senators. Order. Senator Kangata. No. You are disrupting proceedings, please.
Acknowledging that whether they are delivered by public or private providers, essential services such as health, banking, education, and other utilities are considered to be public services because they are public goods that sustain the well-being of every citizen and help in the development of the society as a whole. Concerned that access to hospitals, educational institutions, and other places offering essential services might be hindered due to exorbitant parking fees levied on motorists accessing these services. Further concerned that charging entry fees amount to double taxation, as the motorists who will have parked the parking fees will still pay. The parking will still have to pay for the services they seek. Now, therefore, the Senate urges the Cabinet Secretary for Lands, Housing, and Fiscal Planning together with the Council of Governors, to come up with a policy framework to create an enabling environment for protection of motorists accessing essential services from paying exorbitant fees for parking. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Next order.
Order number 7, statements.
I know in your order paper, Senator Wambua is below there, but I think he has an engagement, so I'll allow him to make his statement before he leaves. Senator Wambua.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I need your protection from Senator Shionga. She is calling me Mang Beans, she is calling me Ndengu. My name is Senator Wambua. Speaker, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 48.1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Labor and Social Welfare regarding payment of a one-off honorarium and monthly pension to former councillors under Kenya's defunct local authorities. In the statement, the committee should, 1, table a report on the status of implementation of the recommendations contained in the report of the committee on a petition by former councillors tabled on the floor of the Senate on Tuesday, 16th February 2016, regarding payment of a one-off honorarium and monthly pension to former councillors. 2, state the progress made in the implementation of a resolution of the Senate on the same matter made on 18th October 2018, arising from a motion filed by Senator John Kinyua of Laikipia. Number 3, state why the Department of Social Services and Security, the State Department for Devolution, and the National Treasury have to date not implemented the committee's recommendations on the petition and the resolution of the Senate on the matter. And 4, state when the former councillors will be paid the one-off honorarium and monthly pension as recommended in the petition report. Mr. Speaker, if you just allow 1 minute just to mention something on this statement. Mr. Speaker, these Kenyan leaders are really suffering. They have been reduced to paupers, to beggars. Something needs to be done to these leaders, Mr. Speaker. I thank you.
Senator Abdullahi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to support the statement of Senator Wambua. Councillors everywhere in Kenya are really suffering, Mr. Speaker. And whenever they see us, they always ask, what have you done? Last year, when Senator Kinyua brought that thing and it passed, they were very happy. But this government is not ready to do anything. Mr. Speaker, sir, I think the Senate committee should do follow-up on that issue and make sure that whatever comes out of it, something has to be done so that these councillors get something. Otherwise, this is not the way leaders in Kenya are treated. If we are taking care of members of parliament, now we are taking care of the county reps, the former councillors should also be taken care of, Mr. Speaker. Thank you very much.
Senator Argura.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I remember in the last Senate, the 11th Parliament, a petition along the same line was brought by the then Senator for West Pokot, Professor Lonyangapuo, and this House recommended that they be paid, but nothing has been done. I even remember one day, all the former councillors last year came and had a very big meeting at Nyayo Stadium, still pushing for that. So I think it's better we see what can be done so that these elders who are leaders in their own rights can also be compensated in a way for the service they have provided this country.
Senator Nyamunga Rose.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. I would also want to support the concern by Senator for Kitui, because we know very well, Mr. Speaker, that if there is commitment from the government to at least make some payments to these former councillors, the money should be made available. And I don't think the answer that we've always gotten, that the funds are not available, is sufficient enough. These are leaders who served in different capacities, some of them at a very difficult time when things like CDF was not there, even this, the Ward Development Fund is not there. They sacrificed a lot and gave all that they could. But now looking and meeting most of them is very pathetic, the state at which they are in. And it will be very important for us as leaders also, because even at some stage, all of us will also be former. So while we are here, we should make sure that we take care of the former colleagues in whatever capacity. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Milgo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I also rise to support this statement. And I want to say that this statement earlier the petition came to our committee. We had already handled it, and we expected that payment had been done. However, it's quite unfortunate that today we are still looking at the same issue. Mr. Speaker, sir, councillors or people who earned a very little amount of money during those days, they worked under very poor conditions, and right now many of them have been passed on while waiting to be compensated. In labor laws, Mr. Speaker, it is expected that every worker, after having completed whatever contracts, they are supposed to be rewarded in terms of separation and compensation, so that they are deemed to have actually benefited from the work that they did. I am sure my committee, the Labour Committee, will still go back and look at actually that issue, and I'm sure this time we shall be able to bring it to a conclusion. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Shionga.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would also rise to support the statement. Being one of the members in the Labour Committee, I think if we have dealt with the matter, it is very important for it to be implemented. And it seems as if these members of the committee, when they worked on the issue, then it wasn't implemented. It's better for these people to be recognized, to be paid, and to be given their dues. These people worked under very hard circumstances. Remember, before, we used not even to have the motorbikes that we have now. They use even some to walk. They are very old. They are past. Like in my community, we had one who has passed, and he has not even enjoyed anything. And their families are really wallowing into poverty. It is very important for us to have implementation of what we discuss here, what the committee passes, and it's also very important for people to respect, even if it means treasury, to allocate this money for these people who are yearning for it. Remember, they have had their own, allocations, not really allocations, but their own grievances being listened to. Why is it that the treasury cannot honor these members? Thank you.
Okay, since the matter had already been canvassed, I still see some interest. I will just ask the Labour Committee to make a follow-up on what is the position, because I want to agree that true, these were leaders, they were the precursors to what we have now as MCAs, and Maruma, what is burning? Senator Maruma. Yes.
I'm the Vice Chair of the Labour Committee, and I would like really to support the statement by Senator Wambua. I wanted actually to bring a similar statement in 2018, but I was told that there is a similar petition coming to the House through Senator Kinyua. And I think we really need to expedite action and see that these councillors have been paid. So I indicate on behalf of the committee that we will follow up the issue and give it the necessary vigor that is required, because some of these people have worked for a very long time. I have one person at home, a councillor, who was elected 5 times called Councillor Benson Mawanga. He's now 85 years and he's asking me, what is happening? Do you mean that I'll die without getting my money? So we need to really move and expedite action so that these people who worked for Kenya can get their money. Thank you, Chair, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Faki, naona pia una walikuwa nimemalizia.
Asante Mheshimiwa Spika kwa kunipa fursa hii. Kwa kusema kweli Mheshimiwa Spika, matatizo ya madiwani waliohudumu yanasikitisha, kwa sababu bunge lilipitisha kwamba walipwe marupurupu ya kinua mgongo, lakini mpaka sasa hawajalipwa. Mheshimiwa Spika, nikizungumzia Mombasa, mwaka uliokwisha tumeweza kuwapoteza madiwani 4 wa zamani wakiongozwa na Mheshimiwa Shekui ambaye alikuwa ni meya wa Mombasa, Mheshimiwa Juma Gosha ambaye alikuwa ni naibu wa meya, Mheshimiwa Said Matias na Mheshimiwa Makunyapa. Wote hao waliaga wakati wakisubiri pesa hizi ziweze kuwasaidia katika maisha yao. Mheshimiwa Spika, niko na madiwani wengine 2 wastaafu ambao wako vitandani hivi sasa, hawana pension yoyote, lakini wanapata shida ya pesa za matibabu. Mheshimiwa Spika, pia kuongezea ni kwamba pesa za wale waliohudumu katika East African Community pia bado hawajalipwa, na wakati nchi nyingine kama Uganda na Tanzania wameweza kuwalipa wafanyakazi waliostaafu katika East African Community. Kwa Mheshimiwa Spika, kamati husika ni lazima iingilie jambo hili kwa undani zaidi, tujue ni kwa nini maazimio ya bunge hili hayawezi kutekelezwa. Asante Mheshimiwa Spika.
Yeah, I was just concluding on that matter, and I said the Labour Committee should actually make a follow-up to know what exactly has happened, because like the members are saying, these were leaders and most of them are really suffering. They have been following, some of them have died. So if those who are alive can be paid, that will be better. It will be a good thing. Senator, next statement, Senator Ledama. I know it's, what's your point of order, Senator Yako?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I just wanted to announce that I've been around. I've been trying to catch your eye in vain.
I saw your name came late after I had. I hope you are not talking on the same. Okay, you're just saying you are around. Maybe your card has a problem, but I've seen you, Senator Ledama.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 47.1 to make a statement on an issue of general topical concerns, namely corruptions, allegations in the ongoing Kenya Defence Forces recruitment exercise. Mr. Speaker, the Kenya Defence Forces is currently on a recruitment drive of General Service Officers, GSO, cadets, specialist officers, general duty recruiters, tradesmen, women, and Defence Forces Constable, which has been ongoing since the beginning of the month. Mr. Speaker, the recruitment drive, which is a country-wide exercise, has attracted thousands of youth.
What's your point of order, Senator Madzayo?
Bwana Spika, singependelea kumwingilia katikati ndugu yangu Olekina, lakini je, kuketi katika hili bunge akiwa yuko tupu ama akiwa nguo zake alizovaa hazikukamilika kulingana na mila za Kimasai, na ni sawa, kwa sababu ninaambiwa hapa na mama ambaye ni Masai pia, ambaye pia protect me, Bwana Speaker, nilinde.
Let him make his.
Nataka kuuliza tu ya kwamba je, ni haki kwamba yeye anaweza kuvaa hizo nguo za Kimasai nusu mgongo wote uko wazi, na wale Masai tunaona kule nje huwa wanavaa wakijikinga kabisa? Ni heshima hii?
I think, Senator, you should wear properly, but we shall check how appropriate it's supposed
Mr.
to
Speaker,
be. Yes.
you know, earlier on, if you want me to comment on that, Senator Kasanga actually gave a notice of motion to discuss the importance of culture. It's a bit ludicrous when we become so colonial in our mentality.
That's not what we're
point
saying,
where
Senator.
we cannot even look at the future of this country. So, Mr. Speaker, this is a matter that you already dealt with. In fact, the Samburu do not even wear a top. My brother here, who is my sister tribe mate, can attest to that. So let us not waste our time here. Let us dwell on matters. I was raising a statement on a very important matter which is affecting thousands of our youth.
Okay, what they're saying, and I leave it to your conscience, that you dress in a decent manner.
Mr. Speaker, I fully believe that I dressed in a decent manner. Whoever has a problem should actually go to our culture and really try to understand it and walk my path with me. So, Mr. Speaker, sir, I hope to continue, and I think I was at a point where I was raising a very important matter regarding the recruitment exercise. And the recruitment drive, which is a countrywide exercise, has attracted thousands of youth who are keen to join the military. These are unemployed youth. But with it, there are claims of corruptions in the recruitment exercise on a daily basis. The allegation that recruiters' officers are demanding hefty kickbacks up to the tune of 700,000 Kenya shillings to enlist recruits into the military. These allegations are not new, Mr. Speaker, sir. It has become a ritual whenever there is a recruitment drive into the disciplinary forces. People allege that they have to part with a minimum of 300,000 shillings. The only thing that amount of bribes has been going up on a daily basis. Mr. Speaker, sir, this is not only criminal, but also a threat to our national security. For an institution given the constitutional responsibility for them to defend and protect the sovereignty and territorial integrity of this republic we love called Kenya. These acts of soliciting bribes by the recruitment officers or team is not only contrary to their mission and goals. And Mr. Speaker, if you go even to their social media site, you will see that they have portrayed themselves as a premier, credible, and mission-capable force deeply rooted in professionalism. But also, it also goes against the Public Ethics Act and Article 10 of the Constitution of the Nation and national values and principles of governance, which call for, among other things, high standards of professional ethics. In addition, Mr. Speaker, the desire by the young men and women to join the military is a manifestation of their patriotism. In other jurisdictions, Mr. Speaker, such as the US and Canada, the National Guards and the military offer incentives to young citizens to join the military to defend their country. Mr. Speaker, I remember this was the case during the early ages of our republic. Mr. Speaker, it is sad and unacceptable that patriotism has now been shoved to the back because of corruption. The recruitment process has now been commercialized, and the higher bidder ends up being recruited. Mr. Speaker, the youth in their thousands queue for hours hoping to be recruited, but the outcome leaves a lot to be desired. It seems that it's already predetermined. Most of them end up dejected and disillusioned when none of them are recruited. Mr. Speaker, the exercise is therefore a pure waste of public resources and a threat to our national security. Because what stops the enemy from using money to infiltrate into the military? Mr. Speaker, I now wish to call upon the Cabinet Secretary for the Ministry of Defense and top leadership of the Kenya Defense Forces to look into this matter and ensure that the integrity of the recruitment process is not compromised and that there is fair opportunity for all those participating in the recruitment exercise seeking to join the KDF. Further, Mr. Speaker, KDF should identify the rogue officers demanding bribes from job seekers and take appropriate disciplinary measures against them. Mr. Speaker, finally, I also want to call upon the youth and the guardians to desist from offering bribes. Because if you don't offer a bribe, you know, no one will come and you all say you will not give out a bribe.
Don't
Then people
discuss,
will go
don't discuss your statement.
from bribing their way into the military and instead think out of the box and channel their funds into good use. I therefore urge the Standing Committee on National Security, Defense and Foreign Relations to investigate this matter with a view of holding the military echelons accountable and come up with a more accountable way of carrying out the recruitment process, which could include using community leaders to identify qualified youth. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Langat.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for also giving me this chance to add my voice on this. I don't know if it is by coincidence that just some few minutes before Senator Olekina stood to raise this matter, an orphan who had gone to make an attempt to be recruited in Bomet has just SMS'd me that they wanted 400,000. It is so bad that this particular malice is just getting into a military, particularly in our, during recruitment. And I want to say, Mr. Speaker, unless this one is actually arrested with immediate effect, we shall end up getting the military personnel who purchased their way to the service. And I'm so sure, as they are now getting through compromised, they'll also be compromised in their duties. So this corruption will continue. And I want to say, Mr. Speaker, sir, this particular case must be dealt with by that particular committee with a lot of diligence, so that this particular matter that has denied the rightful candidates to be recruited to military a chance must be handled. I want to say it is so bad. The complaints are everywhere. And in fact, even some people are saying that recruitment takes place 2 months or 3 months before the actual dates. This particular matter has denied rightful Kenyans opportunity to serve their country patriotically. So I want to support this statement, Mr. Speaker, and say that committee must handle this with speed so that this particular situation is arrested. Thank you.
Senator Mbogo, sorry, Ochila yako.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, thank you for the opportunity to add my voice to this concern. Mr. Speaker, I am not necessarily defending the military people. I know that they probably have inability to speak as freely as we do, but this matter is a very complex matter. As I speak in this House, Mr. Speaker, I have had about 12 people approach me that they have money. I should identify some officers who can take that money and recruit them. And I've thought about it and asked myself, how are such officers identifiable? These are Kenyans who have approached me. Some of them are here in Nairobi. Others are in my county, Migori. And when I talked to them, I was quite sympathetic. So what I want to state are two things. It is possible, and it is likely to be true, that there are military officers who are receiving bribes because the talk of bribe is out there. They are receiving bribes in order to recruit people. But it's also true that there are quite a number of brokers who are purporting to be having influence over the recruitment and are preying upon innocent and vulnerable young persons, purporting that they could help them get to the military. But what is more important is the image of the military and the likelihood of the kind of recruits that we might have as a nation. So as we investigate this matter, I hope the committee that will look into this matter will propose a more transparent, a more understandable, and a more humane way of recruiting Kenyans who are looking for employment. The procedure, other than talk of bribe that is being bandied around here, is also very inhumane. The officers who are recruiting people are quite hostile. Some of those people are physically abused. I think as a nation, we deserve better. We need to do better. I want to discourage Kenyans who are looking for leaders saying they have some money so that those leaders can look for people to bribe. And I want to ask young Kenyans to be firm, young Kenyans to believe in merit, and also the military people to know that their image, their reputation is in tatters and they must work on it. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Leader of Minority, Senator Orengo.
Mr. Speaker, similarly, I want to express my appreciation for the request for this statement. Is an important statement, and Abraham Lincoln one time described governance in a democratic system as being a government of the people, by the people, for the people. And one of the ways in which we can truly make sure that the republic in the institution of government is really a government of the people is through enabling people to join government institutions, to make sure that a poor boy a girl from a community who may be forgotten, who may never have a chance to bring a member of parliament, a senator, or a member of the National Assembly to these august institutions, that he has access to some of these very important institutions, including the army. I know that there are communities like El Chamus who have been fighting very hard for being recognized in many ways, land rights and also representation. So in a way, one of the things that the military should do is that when they go out there, to have a record that everybody in every county has a fair chance. There are people in this republic who can never really dream of getting a government job, making a simple application in a government institution to be a PS, to be anything in this republic. But at least when this recruitment is being done, can offer himself at some location or center in a ward or in a constituency to be able to be part of this republic. So this is a very important question. And the only thing, Mr. Speaker, which I'd request that in a matter of this nature, probably there is need for compliance with Standing Order number 50, paragraph 2, because sometimes when you request for a statement and you're already making an answer, you're giving an answer to your own statement, then the process becomes a little bit difficult. So I think the clerks should help, because already we have formed the opinion, and I don't disagree with that opinion. It would be futile to send this matter to a committee of the House when you have already formed an opinion. But the question and the request for it is validated, is proper, and there should be the fullest inquiry into this matter. And I'm saying this, Mr. Speaker, because I have known and have had experiences in this regard, which I may not give the details here. So it is important for the military and for the disciplined forces to ensure that every Kenyan, however far-flung that community is, has a fair chance to belong to this country called Kenya, not just in the territory they live, but being part of it and part of the institution of government. I thank you.
Senator Mary Yane.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me a chance to also add my voice on this important statement. But, Mr. Speaker, allow me to condole with the family of the late Senator Yusuf Haji, because I was not here yesterday, and also condole with the county of Garissa. Senator Yusuf Haji served as a PC of Rift Valley for many, many years. And so we really feel as a country for the loss of the senator. Concerning this particular statement by Senator Ledama, it's really clear that there is a huge problem of unemployment in Kenya. And so whenever an opportunity happens for any kind of employment, quite a number of our youth run to look for an opportunity to serve in this country. It's true, so many of them have been cheated. I happened to have discussed with a certain parent yesterday who told me they've paid 300,000 to a certain officer, and after paying 300,000 and several of them paid to that officer did not even turn to see them where they promised to meet. And so this is just happening across the country. And so I just also want to urge the ministry and also the sector concerned to make sure that the recruitment exercise is transparent, and as our senior Senator Orengo have just said, that they also try to see that there is the equal distribution of these slots to all the communities in all the counties, so that everyone gets a chance. And I also want to urge parents not to be rushing to pay cartels. It might not even be the ministry recruiting officers. Maybe these are just thieves who have recruited themselves as middlemen who can engage these young people. So I think it is high time that the Ministry of Defense also try to track these cartels who are taking money from innocent citizens. I thank you.
Senator Ross Nyamunga.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would also like to register my concern on the matter that has been raised by Senator Olekina. Because if you are in the village, and for example in my village, and even a whole sub-county, it's very difficult for you to put your finger on any particular young person that this so-and-so has been recruited. You hear about the recruitment, a lot of phone calls run. We are consulted so much by our local people to support them. But the issue of corruption must be a giver and a receiver, and it must have originated from somewhere. So at some stage, I think the genuine members of the KDF or all the uniformed services, they must have started the game. And then now, conmen have also come into it. So it is difficult to draw a line when you are dealing with a conman or you are dealing with the right people. But it's a big concern to all of us. It's very difficult. This recruitment should be done in an open manner. They must find a formula of recruiting people whereby Kenyans should be very sure that if you apply, at least you can get a chance. But as it is, it's so difficult. I don't know who is taken. I know opportunities are there. They are now talking of 4,000 people. But in a whole county, it will be difficult for you to point a finger and say so-and-so has been taken in an honest manner. So this is a problem that must be ended, because many people have lost a lot of money, including leaders have lost a lot of money, because sometimes it forces you to try to help in whatever way. But it is something that is of a big concern to all of us, and there must be a genuine way of recruitment in all the services, not only in KDF. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yeah, I know time is not on our side. This is a very, very sensitive matter and very important. I know unemployment is a real issue. Our youths are desperate and therefore very manipulatable. They can be manipulated. And I also want to agree that we also have brokers. People have even been hacking into people's accounts, Facebook accounts, and soliciting funds, saying, pay 200,000, pay 300,000 for me to assist you get recruited. So as the committee goes to look at this, I want to urge them to adhere, to follow what Senator Chilayako said, that also come up with recommendations on the way forward on how this can be improved, because this has been, allegations have been there anytime there is recruitment of people in the forces. So if you came up with a way forward and a formula that will be transparent, assist this country, people to get equal opportunities, that you would have done very well for this country. And this Senate would be remembered for coming up with a solution that saves very, very many youths. Next statement by Senator Musuruve.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 48-1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Education regarding the return to school of learners who are forced out of school as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. In the statement, the committee should, 1, establish the number of learners who have not reported back to school across all academic levels, including special schools, following interruption of learning as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. 2, find out the distribution and demographics of the said learners who have not resumed school across all counties owing to the impact of COVID-19. 3, explain the framework put in place by both the national and county governments to ensure effective return to school and resumption of studies by all learners. And 4, have mechanisms in place to establish school re-entry centers in all counties to address the plight of learners who are facing challenges in resuming school. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Senator Chilayako.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. One of the consequences of COVID is that poverty has become widespread. The household income has declined, and difficulties in terms of living is on the increase. Now, in explaining or giving a response to the questions asked by Senator Musuruve, to whom I'm grateful for asking a question that is useful, because learning is one of the most important steps toward development, developing human resource. Now, one of the responses that should come out is what incentives have been put in place by county governments and by national governments to give those who are returning to school after COVID a soft landing, incentives and encouragement to go back to school. We are all suffering from COVID economically. The people we represent, our electors, are equally suffering, and without incentives, without encouragement, many of them are unlikely to report back to school. We read around that the national government is threatening to lock up parents who do not return their children to school. But I think underlining this reluctance, underlining this sluggishness in return to school must be economic disincentives that are associated with COVID. So it would be important to know what government is doing in the affirmative to encourage return to school post-COVID. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Senator Masitsa Naomi Shonga.
Madam Speaker, it's just because I forgot to put off my mic. I wanted to contribute to the last statement that they closed. Okay. So you can give to another person. Thank you.
Thank you. Senator Mwaruma Jonas Mashushi.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Speaker, for this opportunity to contribute to this very important statement by Senator Dr. Musuruve about the return to school by students after COVID lockdown. It's very true that parents are finding it difficult to take their students back to school because of various reasons. One of them being that they were hard hit by the outcome of Corona. Some of them have lost their jobs, some of them have lost employment, some of them have lost business, and so on, and this was expected. What I'd be wanting to know as we prosecute this statement is the preparedness by the government, both county governments and national governments, to ensure that the students remain in school. Madam Speaker, it is not true that all the students have not gone back to school. Some of them have actually gone back to school, but they've been sent back home to collect school fees. Many are filling my 4 offices in the county, county offices, looking for fees. It's very unfortunate because these students are supposed to sit for the exams in the very few months to come. So I think the national government, much as they threaten the parents that they lock them down when they don't return, or if they don't return the students back to school, we also need to know how they were prepared to make sure that the students go back to school in terms of releasing the money, the capitation money to secondary schools, in terms of releasing CDF bursaries. Madam Speaker, most of the students who have gone back to school have been given letters by the members of National Assembly, but the head teachers, the principals, are not accepting the letters. We also want to know if the treasury is not releasing money to county governments, then how do you expect the county governments to give bursaries to students? So I think it's like we are not prepared to open schools post-COVID, Madam Speaker. Thank you, Madam Speaker, for that opportunity.
Senator Milko Alice.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me this chance to also weigh in on this statement. And while supporting Senator Musuruve's statement, I want to say that COVID actually brought a lot of challenges. And in the recent past, we learned that while away for over 7 months, some of the school-going kids even became mothers. And some of them are still at home. And I think the government is still trying to find a way of actually ensuring that these kids are brought back to school. Madam Speaker, many of the parents lost jobs. Many of the parents are relocated. And I think up to now, they are still trying to actually find schools for their children. I did found out that some of the kids were even refused entry into some schools because others had to relocate from boarding schools to day schools. And in this case, that one has become a challenge. And right now, there is an influx even of students to some schools. And that is a lot of challenges. However, because this statement is coming to my committee, we shall actually investigate and actually establish what has happened to those students that have become mothers, to those students that had to be transferred to other schools, so that we ensure that they'll continue their schooling. Otherwise, it's a very good statement. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Finally, Senator Jebeni Masi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I also rise to support this statement by Senator Dr. Musuruve. And it is indeed true that COVID came with a lot of challenges, and our learners have been away for 9 months, and now they have to adjust going back to the school system. And Madam Speaker, many of them are very anxious, they're depressed, you know, and therefore their mental health and mental state really is very critical. Therefore, we would like to know from the committee maybe what plans are in place to ensure that learners' mental health is taken care of. And by this, I mean maybe having professional counselors attached to the schools. And I'm happy that the chair of Education Committee has touched on return to school for girls who fell pregnant during the period. I think every girl has a right to education, and therefore I would like to also know what strategies are there to ensure that the return to school policy is fully implemented. No girl should be allowed to stay at home simply because they fell pregnant. I think it's their right and they have to go back to school. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Senator. The next statement is from the Senator of Taita Taveta, Senator Jones Mwaruma. And I will urge members, if you can allow me to take about 3 members for each so that we finish the statements. Because statement hour is actually far gone. Senator Mwaruma.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for this opportunity to give this statement or to request this statement. Madam Speaker, I rise pursuant to Standing Orders 48.1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Roads and Transportation regarding upgrading of Loitoktok, Njukini, Taveta Road to bitumen standard. In the statement, the committee should, 1, state how much money has been allocated by the government towards upgrading the Loitoktok, Njukini, Taveta Road to bitumen standards. Number 2, disclose why construction works have not commenced many months after a contractor was awarded the tender for the road works. Number 3, state when construction works on the road will commence and the expected completion date. Number 4, explain why the road has not been marramed and graded to motorable level for the ease of movement of people and goods pending upgrading to bitumen standard. And finally, Madam Speaker, state when the government will compensate residents who surrendered their land for purposes of construction of the road. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Senator. That's a very straightforward statement. The next statement is from Senator Isaac Mwaura. I don't see Senator Mwaura. I don't see Senator Mwaura. So we'll move to the next one, which is from the Senator for Bomet County, Senator Dr. Christopher Langat.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise in person to Standing Orders 48.1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Health regarding medical negligence at health facilities in Bomet County. In the statement, the committee should find out the circumstances that led to the death of Mrs. Jacqueline Koech, an expectant mother who had been admitted at Yongiroi Health Center, Bomet County, for maternal care. Number 2, explain why the deceased was neglected by medics during her stay at the facility for 3 days without being attended and was not referred to a better health facility when her situation deteriorated. 3, Madam Speaker, state the reason for the rise in cases of medical negligence across health facilities in Bomet County and indicate the remedial measures that should be put in place to arrest the situation. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Senator. That's another very specific statement. So we'll move to the next. And the statement stands committed to the Committee on Health. The previous one, obviously from the Senator of Taita Taveta.
Point of order, Madam Speaker.
Sir?
I would like to request that because it's a very serious matter, that in fact I've been cooling down the residents. They would have really demonstrated. I've been telling them to allow me to bring this matter to the Senate. Therefore, I would like to request that you set a time limit to this particular committee so that this situation is handled well. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Senator. Committee of Health, trying to look at the setting of the time limits, because we would always expect our chairs to expedite and call on the senator concerned while they're looking at that but let's say we want a response within 14 days because of the urgency of the matter. Senator, you still, okay, thank you. The statement from the Senator for Taita Taveta, I just wanted to state that it stands committed with the Standing Committee on Roads and Transportation. The next statement, Senators, is from Senator Victor Prengay.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise pursuant to Standing Order 48-1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on National Security, Defense and Foreign Relations regarding the ban of planting of maize in Neswit, Njoro Sub-County, Nakuru County, by the Ministry of Interior and Coordination of National Government. In the statement, the committee should state the legal provisions relied on by the ministry in prohibiting residents of Neswit in Njoro, Nakuru County from planting maize. Number 2, explain how the ban complies with the Article 43(1)(c), 46(1)(c), 47(1), and 187(1) of the Constitution, as well as the national government functions of providing defense and police services as contained in the 4th schedule of the Constitution. Number 3, spell out measures, if any, put in place by the government to compensate residents of Neswit who are largely farmers from the effect of the ban, which has impacted on their livelihoods. And 4, explain measures put in place by government to flush out criminals who use maize plantations as hideouts to cover for launching attacks on innocent civilians. I thank you, Madam Speaker. And on that, Madam Speaker, I wanted also, because it is an urgent matter and it is a planting season in the area, the matter to be prosecuted the soonest as possible.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Inima Getut Musuruve.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. And I would like to thank Senator Prengay for coming up with this statement. Actually, Honorable Speaker, when we look at the economy of this country, farmers play a major role. They play a major role because they do the actual work of planting on the farm. And this maize that they plant, whatever products that they're able to produce, is consumed not only by themselves, but by Kenyans as well. Honorable Speaker, I'm just wondering about the fate of the farmers in this said region. What will become of them if they do not plant maize at all? I think, Honorable Speaker, it will be a noble thing for the government, by all means, to actually beef up security in the said areas, so that if there's insecurity during planting season, let more police forces be there to patrol. Let us have police stations. Let us have security being beefed up, because we have to see ways of encouraging our farmers. Because if they're not farming, then we have to give them an alternative way. So there's need for the Ministry of Interior also to come up with mechanisms that will ensure that the farmers who are not planting during this time have another way of surviving, Honorable Speaker. Because if they're idle, their families are not taken care of, they're likely to get into behaviors that are undesirable. So, Honorable Speaker, we also need to know that when it comes to farming, it is a source of employment, it is a source of income, but let us look for mechanisms of ensuring that we're protecting these farmers, so that even if they're doing their planting, then the thugs who come by pretending or hiding in the maize plantation, they should be flushed out, Honorable Speaker. It is our honor as a government to ensure that we are protecting farmers. We are giving them the security that they need, Honorable Speaker. But if we shy away, then the farmers' life will be doomed. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I hope the committee that is going to investigate this matter is going to be very fair to ensure that we are protecting our farmers in this country. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I support this statement.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Mwangi Paul Gidiomi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, it is interesting to hear that there is a ban on maize plantation because of insecurity. Madam Speaker, I think the security forces need to think a little harder. This cannot be a reason, and it is not acceptable at all. Madam Speaker, they should investigate the areas that insecurity is coming through in that area. Madam Speaker, some of those security officers are themselves insecurity. They have been arrested in causing insecurity in some areas. And so we do not expect the government that we serve and the government that we love to tell us that the people of the North Rift should not plant maize because of insecurity. Criminals will even cause crime in open areas, Madam Speaker. There doesn't have to have a maize plantation for criminals to do criminal activities. Food in itself, if there is no food, that will cause insecurity. Because when people get hungry, they will even break into people's houses. Yeah. They will arm themselves. They will start turning to thieves. And that will be even a bigger insecurity than the maize. I think we had better tell the security officers to pull their socks and think of how they are going to create security, how they are going to finish insecurity in that area. People need maize. In some areas, Madam Speaker, and particularly Nyanza province, if you give somebody food without giving him ugali, which is made out of maize, he will ask for food, and yet he has already eaten. So if we don't grow the maize, we will cause bigger problems in this country than thinking about the insecurity that the plantation can cause. We have enough police officers in this country, and if they're not enough, government can employ more to ensure that those people are secure and they're provided with the security, and maize plantation should not be an excuse. Thank you, Madam Speaker. I thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Langat, Christopher Andrew.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. This is a very important statement from Senator Berengei. In fact, when I heard of the same through the media, I was shocked on how can the security people actually come up with such a measure as a way of actually handling security matters. Stopping people from growing maize. Already they have known that those criminals have been hiding in the maize plantations. What other measures could they have taken better than just stopping people from growing maize? I saw most of the farmers, actually through the television, they have already ploughed their land in readiness to plant their crops. And this is a country where agriculture provides a lot of employment, where agriculture is a source of living. So if these people stop these particular people from growing this particular maize, they are rendering some of them jobless, and they are opening up some of them to die of hunger. So I would like to say this is not a solution to security matters in this particular country. And these particular security personnel people should step up and come up with effective measures of making sure that security in these particular places is put in place in a better way. So, Madam Speaker, this is a very ridiculous matter that these people are coming up with such a very ridiculous situation as a way of stopping insecurity. They should stop sitting in their offices and coming up with such very reckless measures of stopping insecurity in our country. They should go to that place, establish, as Madam Gertrude Musuruve was saying, establish police stations and enhance security procedures in those particular places so that farmers can continue their normal routine of planting. I support this statement, and it should be handled with speed so that those people who have closed their farms may start growing maize. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Masitsa Naomi Shionga.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I would advise to support the statement raised by Senator Peringay on the security in relation to planting of maize. Madam Speaker, it is very ridiculous. It's even amusing that the security officers in our republic, they are being challenged by planting of food or production of food into a mere security threat. Madam Speaker, in Kenya, we are encouraging agriculture production through maize plantation and through other food production. And when you get the security sector taking an scapegoat of saying that, or maybe preferring, alleging that planting of maize in large plantation is a security threat, then it becomes ridiculous. In fact, it is not one way that we can really consider the security that we have confidence in it. If we encourage forests, should we also go for the forest that is a security threat? It is very ridiculous again, and I want to say that our security needs to revise how best they can take care of this country, how best they can work out the insecurities that we are encountering, other than turning to farmers, poor farmers who want actually to make their living out of it, and increasing the job creation, and saying that their food production or their food plantation should be cut down. I support the statement, and if the committee looks into it, let the security give us the best answer for this. It is not really in line with security measures as far as the country is concerned. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Cherarkei Samson Kiprotich.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. From the onset, I want to support the statement by Senator Peringay that I think, Mr. Speaker, the security sector in this country should be more innovative and effective in terms of handling. I didn't know that our security sector could sink too low until criminalizing planting of a staple food. As a country, Madam Speaker, where you and me come from, we rely on maize as food and also as business. Mr. Speaker, it is so sad that the gentlemen in the Ministry of Interior, Inspector General of Police, the DCI, thought of all other mechanisms until they decided to bring a nursery-like idea of banning growing of maize in that region. Because, Madam Speaker, it is so sad. I think the Ministry of Interior, the Inspector General of Police, the Director of Criminal Prosecution should use more pragmatic issues than criminalizing the growing of maize in that area. Madam Speaker, it is so sad. When I saw that story being run by one of the leading media stations in this country, I thought it was a joke. Until I cross-checked with the communication from the Regional Commissioner of Rift Valley, where you and me come from, is that it was shocking because maize is one of the things that more Kenyans grow. I think there is a more better ideas on how to fight insecurity in that area than banning growing of maize. And Madam Speaker, it is so sad because maize continues to become one of our sources of livelihood, our income, our food. Even as we talk, Madam Speaker, and I hope when the committee sits, the Committee of Agriculture should come back, the growth of maize is so reliant that even as we talk, Madam Speaker, our National Cereals and Produce Board and farmers, they are tilling their land, they are plowing their land in Uasin Gishu, in Nandi, in Trans Nzoia. But as we talk today, there is no fertilizer that is in place. Madam Speaker, there is no seeds by Kenya Seed that is ready for planting of maize, and yet we are supposed to produce, including other areas of Nakuru, towards the bread basket of this country. I think, Madam Speaker, one of the big four agenda of His Excellency the President was on food security. We would have expected that we should facilitate the growing of food to ensure that we are food secure, as opposed as banning growing of maize, which is very ironical. because that should be one of the big four agenda of the president. So, Madam Speaker, I want to advise the Ministry of Interior, the Inspector General of Police, the DCI, even the Minister himself, that let us not sink too low until we run out of ideas on how to improve our security subsector in this country. I think they should use even community policing, nyumba kumi, Madam Speaker. They have any other mechanisms. The government, wanasemanga serikali, the government is so, they have necessary machinery that they can use to address an issue of insecurity, unless you want to tell us that burning of maize will now ban criminals from that area, which I don't believe is the solution. Let's allow our people to prepare their land. I saw a story being run, and farmers are preparing their land until a caveat or a directive is being issued by Ministry of Interior that, Madam Speaker, that you no longer need to plant maize. So I think that thing we expect. The Vice Chair and the committee will be up to task. And I can see my neighbor, the able Vice Chair, Senator Outa Fred from Kisumu, is up to the task, and we should get as many answers as possible. And I hope, Madam Speaker, when they will summon or invite, let me not say summon, when they invite Minister of Interior, they should not chase out media the way they did it last time. I hope so that the public can be able to understand what you're doing. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Senator. Honorable Senators, that brings us to the end of statement time. There are few, I would like first to commit this last statement to the Committee on National Security, Defense, and Foreign Relations, and give them 14 days because it's very urgent. People are planting. Vice Chair, you are here. Thank you for accepting that timeline. Please work on it because it's extremely, extremely urgent. Honorable Senators, for the record, 3 statements have been deferred. Therefore, the statement by Senator Malala and the 2 statements by Senator Isaac Mwaura have both been deferred. Next order.
Order number 8, the Cooperative Societies Amendment Bill, Senate Bills number 11 of 2020, second reading.
Honorable Senators, yesterday the bill was read. The motion was moved on this bill. It was seconded, and it was time to propose when we were caught by time. So I would now like to propose the question that the Cooperative Societies Amendment Bill, Senate Bills number 11 of 2020, be read a second time. Senator Orengo James.
Madam Speaker, I want to support this bill, but in doing so, I congratulate Senator Zani for her fastidiousness, and I think she's brought a record number of bills before the Senate over the years since she became a member of this august House. And this is a straightforward bill. And in the context of the new constitutional dispensation, part of the objective of this bill is to bring this very important statute in line with the new constitutional dispensation. Not quite new, because we have had this constitution since the year 2010. But before I go to the 1 or 2 things that I wanted to comment about on this bill, the cooperative movement has been a very, very empowering movement to local farmers, and even in driving the economies, not just at the micro level, but even economies of scale. There are counties or regions that are synonymous with the cooperative movement, and it has brought a change, a transformative change in the lives of many people where the cooperative societies have been involved in many sectors, particularly farming. But lest we forget, cooperative societies are not just farming for purposes of farming, but also in the sector dealing with savings and the financial sector as a whole, where we have found the growth of some of these societies, as savings societies, growing by leaps and bounds. And Madam Speaker, it was said time and again that Kenya was a leader in this sector, in the region, but also globally. And this is something that we must pride in. And hopefully, we will continue to ensure that this sector grows as it has in the previous years. Now, coming to the content very briefly, and I'm glad I had this opportunity to talk at this stage, is, as I said at the beginning, that there are areas which are really technical. As you know, that the cooperatives generally fall under the devolved systems of government, and the role of central government is purely at the level of policy making. And this has been brought out quite clearly in the bill. Now, I have seen in the guiding principles, I think this is very important because sometimes people forget, and I think borrowing from our Constitution, where there are foundational principles which are found in our Constitution, both in the preamble, in the first chapter of the Constitution, and in Article 10, you find that the Constitution lays a premium on certain principles and objectives that we must abide by as a nation. And that actually permits other parts of the Constitution. So in Clause 3, the insertion of a new Section 2A, I think this is very critical. And some of those guiding principles are not really new because they fall within the realm of what has become generally acceptable, including the question of public participation. But I'm glad that Senator Zani, you have found it necessary to put as a guiding principle the democratic member control. Because some very big and cooperative societies have come to a halt because of the way they are being run. That the leadership, either the chairman or the CEO of the organization, takes over the movement as if it is an institution that belongs only to the leadership. And this, as a guiding principle, I think is very important for it to have been put in Clause 2A, or rather what will become as Section 2A of the statute. And of course, the question of autonomy and independence. That question of autonomy is very important in regard to the other provisions that relate to obligations of the national government to cooperative societies or in the sector. Now, Senator Zani, I want to agree with you that this was important because sometimes the national government can become too intrusive. I know of times of yore where even for a cooperative society to have a check drawn and signed and paid, you have to go to see the local cooperative officer and who must countersign the check. And even just that simple procedure made it very difficult for cooperative societies to run in a manner that speaks to good governance. And the central government, through cooperative society officers, would find space for control or things that would look like, necessary bureaucracy, but at the end of the day, they eventually even killed very large cooperative societies. So in order to ensure that there is no too much red tape and intrusion from the two levels of government, I support these two guiding principles, that there should be democratic member control and autonomy and independence. And I think that would address the other concerns I had in view of the role of the national government and the role of county governments. And I think since it is a devolved function, the role of county governments or government at that level was critical. But the way it has come out in this entire legislation, I think it deals with the questions where the central government or the county government may become too intrusive in the running and management of cooperative societies. I've seen also in respect of applications for registration for cooperative societies, this bill proposes that that process would largely be at the national level when you are dealing with apex societies. But when you are dealing with the primary societies, the point at which everything begins in terms of applications for registration is with the county county executive committee member who would be in charge of that particular functions. Because as you know, in the past, if you had a corporate society, let's say in Moyale, and there is anything to do with applications or change of office or wanting even to change the name and all that, somebody had to travel all the way to Nairobi to get things done. But this is true to the spirit of devolution, so that in relation to primary societies, they will be doing a lot of these things at the county level. And to that, in that respect, one can then see the importance of this bill in bringing this function squarely within the realm of the devolved system and within the second layer of government, which are the devolved governments in the counties. Now, Madam Speaker, there are things to do with the auditing. There's provisions dealing with disputes, and for that matter, the tribunal. And this, again, is important because disputes concerning cooperative societies externally or within particular cooperative societies end up in the tribunals. And I think those provisions, if you look at clause 11 in the bill, they are dealt with quite exhaustively. And of course, governance within cooperative societies, the issues of auditing and all that, I think they're well covered in the bill. Now, Madam Speaker, I want to stop there. This is something I could speak for hours and hours, but I was waiting for this chance because I knew that if I didn't get it and I came back, the matter probably would have been put to a vote. But thank you, Senator Zani, because your industriousness has resulted in in many bills to bring them within the realm of the current constitution. And there are little things which sometimes may not make sense. We may assume that they work, even if there are no changes, like the clauses dealing with the amendments of reference to cabinet ministers as opposed to cabinet secretaries. I think that amendment is welcome in view of the current situation. But I don't know, after BBI, you may have to amend it again.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Enima Gertrude Musuruve.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to support this bill by Dr. Zani. And it has to come out very clearly that cooperatives have a major role to play in the society in terms of creating employment, in terms of helping even the members invest and do big projects. As an individual, sometimes it may be very difficult to do an individual project solely. But if one joins a cooperative that is functional, that is stable, that is really focused, then one is likely to have a lifetime investment. So I want to say that this bill is very important because it will help members during their heydays be able to do an investment that they would flash back and say that they never wasted their heydays, they never wasted their monies, and because of a certain cooperative, they were able to do 1, 2 projects. So I want to say also that it is a very good idea that Senator Dr. Zani came up with these amendments, because when you look at this cooperative bill, it came before the 2010 Constitution, meaning that it did not, the main document did not comply with the devolution. And Kenya now, we are devolved into 47 counties, and everything has to work in the counties. We are here to represent the counties and the interests of the countries, and to see that counties are working for the people of this country. So it is actually paramount that there's an amendment that will ensure that county governments and national government both have a responsibility in ensuring that cooperatives work for the purpose of ensuring that the common man is getting a service from cooperatives. Now, Honorable Speaker, I support the insertion of 2A, which is very important, by Senator Dr. Zani. And the insertion of these will ensure that there's equality and non-discrimination when it comes to cooperatives, and anyone can join a cooperative regardless of the political party, meaning that cooperatives will not be inclined to any party. Cooperatives will be there to serve all Kenyans that are interested in joining the cooperatives. And also the insertion of voluntary membership is very important, so that one gets into a cooperative simply because he has decided to become a member of a cooperative, and that will make the members be active in the cooperatives. And I'm also happy about the issue of concern. In this insertion of 2A, then cooperatives will be concerned about the members of the community, the needs of the people of the community, because even if a cooperative comes in place, it should factor in fact, there should be a SWOT analysis to find out what is the strength, what is the weakness, and all that of setting up a cooperative within a certain community. Because if there's a SWOT analysis, then if a cooperative gets also the buying of the community, it can survive, stand the test of time, because it will be serving the people. And that windfall is very important when it comes to any business, thriving in any environment. An enabling environment will ensure that the business, thrives. And so it is important for the community to be involved. It is important for the needs of the community to be involved. It is important also to ensure that everyone also gets the distribution of the income or the profits, equitably from the cooperative. That will make members, from an intrinsic point of view, want to be part of this cooperative. And also insertion of training programs is very important, because some people get into cooperatives without knowing the nitty-gritties of their cooperatives. Then after some time, they realize they were just in a pyramid scheme. There are times when pyramid schemes have acted like cooperatives. They've swindled people's money. Later on, people realized that this was not a cooperative, it was just a pyramid scheme. But this bill will ensure that the county government, the national government are aware of these schemes. The schemes are also, the cooperatives, and the cooperatives are also in the national register, in the county register. That will ensure transparency, and that will ensure also that those who join, their monies will be safe, and they'll get value for being members of the cooperative. And also, apart from that, the fact that the national government will be involved, the fact that the county government will be involved, then the liquidation shock may not be there for members, because there is going to be a scrutiny check to ensure that cooperatives are registered. And I've seen also Senator Dr. Anzani, and this is something very good, Senator, that you've come up with a prerequisite for registration, that before people register, they must have certain information. This information is very important, because if you don't have the information, then it means that the cooperative cannot be registered. And that will also help in ruling out some people who come up with cooperatives in quotes only to swindle members' money. Once they've swindled members' money, the cooperatives are closed. But this bill will ensure that there's no cooperative that will come into place and then within a very short time it closes. If it closes, then the managers who are running the cooperative will be answerable before the county government, will be answerable before the national government, and a scrutiny will be done to ensure that they are brought to book. So I want to say that this collaborative venture of the national government and the county government is very important in ensuring also that management is good. And there's need also to come up with a standard of management for cooperatives, because this management of cooperatives should run across the board, so that what works in Kitui should work in Nandi, should work in Moyale, should work everywhere else. So there's need for standardization of registering cooperatives. There is need also for standardization of cancelling also cooperatives, and this bill addresses that issue. That even when it comes to cancelling, it is very clear that there are reasons for cancelling. For instance, if the cooperative is not going by its set objectives, that is a reason to cancel. If, for instance, they have not even filed their returns for 3 consecutive years, that is also a ground for cancellation. So this helps also the management of cooperatives to be very careful when it comes to handling the public, when it comes to handling KRA, when it comes to handling even public money, because they know that the national government is watching, the county government is watching, and this collaboration is very important. And I want to say also that even in a situation where maybe a cooperative, sometimes cooperatives can be maybe 2, 3, but maybe being run by the same people. But in a situation where it is detected that a certain cooperative is similar in terms of names with another cooperative, or almost similar, that is also a ground for rejection. So it means that there's going to be a lot of scrutiny for cooperative members, and it is important because you'll find sometimes board members could be in cooperative A. The cooperative does very poorly, and then the same board members are also in cooperative B, cooperative C. But this bill will ensure that we sieve out such issues, so that if there are cooperatives that are sort of similar in name and all that, then that cooperative is not actually registered. So I want to say, Speaker, that it is very important that this bill sees the light at the end of the tunnel, so that Kenyans are also helped. Very many Kenyans are in cooperative for a reason. And I know these cooperatives are a good avenue for Kenyans to make it in life, for Kenyans even to own a house, for Kenyans to earn, to even have land. People take loans from cooperatives. And also when you look at cooperatives, the loans are even cheaper than banks. So we have to see how can we help Kenyans also join cooperatives that will stand, not cooperatives that will fall in the next 3-4 years. And I want to say, Senator Dr. Zani, I think there's also need for this cooperative, for the Senate to check, the Parliament to really have a check on cooperatives. Maybe after some time, after 6 months and all that, there's need to investigate whether the cooperatives are really standing by the objects or not standing by the objects. If there are any issues on cooperatives, they should be brought on the floor of the House. And also, the Senate should work with speed to ensure that if there's any issue that is arising on cooperatives, the issue is sorted out. It's sorted out not because of the cooperative, but because of the Kenyan out there. The Kenyan who is earning, a living and saving a lot of money, the hard-earned money in cooperatives in order maybe eventually to buy a plot, in order maybe to take children to school and all that. We must see how to protect the money that Kenyans sweat for in order to save. Because even saving money is not very easy. You can imagine an ordinary Kenyan and saving money in a cooperative. That Kenyan has really denied himself a lot because the Kenyan has school fees to pay, the Kenyan has families, the Kenyan has rent and all that, but is still giving some 2,000, 3,000 to a cooperative. So cumulatively, after some years, this Kenyan expects that he would take a loan that would help him maybe do a big project. So Dr. Zani, this is a very noble amendment. I'm happy that you brought it on the floor of this House, and this amendment should see the light of the day. They should be enriched so that eventually we give Kenyans a bill that is going to work for them. Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me the opportunity. I support.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Milko Alice Chepkorir.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me this chance to also support this bill from Senator Dr. Zani. And I want to thank her for actually coming up with this very important bill, a bill that will go a long way to actually help the people of this country. Madam Speaker, this amendment is in time because of the fact that it was first enacted before the promulgation of the Constitution 2010, which actually ensured that there were counties, and of course, the primary function of the counties is actually to manage cooperative societies. Madam Speaker, cooperative societies in this case plays a very important role in enhancing the borrowing power of people, and in this case, even it encourages people to actually gain more ideas in terms of actually investments and even budgeting for that matter. Madam Speaker, I support this bill because of the fact that it has set out the functions for the two levels of government. The national government, of course, will play a very important role in setting standards right across the country in terms of management, a standard of which, in this case, will go a long way to ensure that we do not have cooperative societies collapsing as we have seen in most cases. In addition to this, the national government will also play a very important role in enacting policies of which will be able to guide and regulate the development of these cooperative societies. The county government, Madam Speaker, which is the second level of management, will in this case play a very important role in ensuring that they provide information tests for cooperative societies, where in this case ideas can be shared based on the best practices in terms of cooperative societies. It is in this county, again, where in this case we shall have proper management, and it is at the county levels where the management in charge of cooperative societies will be able to reach out to the various cooperative societies right across the counties. Madam Speaker, I'm sure Senator Zani would in this case be interested in ensuring that she can add a section when it comes to the county government to ensure that those groups of people that are not already in cooperative societies can be encouraged to join cooperative societies I'm sure there are many people out there that in this case fear to join cooperative societies, maybe because at one time they fell into the hands of pyramid schemes that in this case was very much alive in this country in the 1990s. And even up to right now, we cannot be able to say that they are no longer there. So many people actually shied away and are afraid to actually join cooperative societies because they feel they might end up losing their contributions. So, Madam Speaker, I'm encouraging Senator Sane to actually add a section that the county management team to look up to provide for actually ensuring, or rather capacity building and searching for those groups that can be able to form cooperative societies. Madam Speaker, looking at this bill, section 6, 7 and 9, this bill has provided for refusal even to register. And I think this will go a long way to ensure that for those cooperative societies that are not well managed, that in this case do not meet the required requirements, they will not in this case be registered. Madam Speaker, I think this will even play a very important role to ensure that we sieve out those cooperative societies that in this case may not see the light of the day. Madam Speaker, section 11 also goes ahead to also ensure that there is also an appeal tribunal to ensure that if there are those cooperative societies that would otherwise be able to manage cooperative societies and they have not been allowed to register, they have a way out to ensure that they are provided a chance to be able to do so. Madam Speaker, there are many cooperative societies in the past that had come together. They were very viable, they had been managed very well, but after sometimes they actually collapsed, but then they have a lot of assets. But this bill has gone a long way to provide a clause 38, to provide for liquidation. And I have been in the Labor Committee, and we've been dealing a lot with a lot of companies that have come together in the past. They have a lot of assets, but issues of liquidation has become a challenge. But I think this bill has actually provided for ways of liquidation so that in this case, the companies will be able to ensure that they separate with the people who are no longer in that particular society. And it is a very important issue because members will be able to still enjoy their benefits. Madam Speaker, one other issue is maybe this bill can also, Madam Senator Sane can also add a provision for the review of the viability of these cooperative societies, maybe once in a while, so that we review the viability. Because there are those cooperative societies that for a long time have been in place. Maybe in the past they were very active, they have been very profitable, but then right now they are already stagnant. But then we have a few people, maybe the leadership, just enjoying their benefits. Like I have one example in my county, I do not want to mention its name. And in this case, if we have a provision to provide for review so that those societies that are already stagnant should in this case be made to liquidate, and in this case ensure that our members will get their own benefits and separate. Otherwise, Madam Speaker, this is a very important bill and I support it. I hope it will be able to see the light of day so that cooperative societies can in this case work to the betterment of the people of this country. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Mogeni. Eric Okongo.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I first want to thank Senator Dr. Agnes Zani for bringing this bill to the House. And while at it, Madam Speaker, Senator Dr. Agnes Zani has distinguished herself as one of the most hardworking senators. I've contributed to a number of bills that have been sponsored by Senator Agnes Zani, and they are always very progressive. I remember we we had a debate here sometime on the community health bill, and if you read the bills, Madam Speaker, they are always geared towards making some meaningful changes to the people that we represent. So I really congratulate Agnes Zani. Madam Speaker, this bill is really important, and its importance cannot be really overemphasized more than the fact that it's trying to align itself to the provisions of our Constitution 2010. Madam Speaker, there is no better way of supporting devolution other than parts that are aligned to the provisions of our Constitution 2010. More so, Madam Speaker, issues dealing with cooperatives. Madam Speaker, some of us who are raised up in up country, we know the critical role that cooperatives have played in ensuring that some of us were able to even get money to go to school. Madam Speaker, most of the agricultural activities, like farming, especially in counties where agriculture is really the mainstay of the economy, including, I'm sure, Madam Speaker, where you come from, in Nandi, in Bomet, in Kisii, the best way you can market milk is by forming cooperatives, because that way you are able to look for markets, you are able to do transport together. So any bill that is geared towards strengthening the management, making registration of these cooperatives easy within counties is something that really we must support. Madam Speaker, you can imagine farmers traveling all the way from Nyamira to Nairobi to come and seek registration of a cooperative society for a function that under the fourth schedule is clearly a devolved function. It doesn't make economic sense. And it's good that now we have brought into place a CEC, really, an officer from the county government who will be in charge of registration of our cooperatives. And then, Madam Speaker, there is the issue of bureaucracy that is being addressed by this bill. You know, at times, people seek registration of cooperatives and they wait for eternity. I'm really impressed by the fact that this bill now has brought in place timelines where the officials tasked with the registration of a cooperative society must make that decision within 30 days. That, Madam Speaker, really brings efficiency in place and also kills corruption, because at times people delay registration so that they can be seen the Kenyan way. So this is really good and really progressive, Senator Agnes Zani, that farmers will be able to know their fate. And even where registration is denied, reasons must be given, and where the farmers are not satisfied, there is a mechanism for seeking really appeal. Madam Speaker, the other point I want to really point out is the fact that we have now, this bill makes a proposal to ensure that the tribunals are professionalized. Because, Madam Speaker, what has been happening in the past is that members who serve in tribunals, and you know a tribunal is a quasi-judicial body that makes decisions that have far-reaching effects on farmers. But they are picked without any meritocracy, without ensuring that people have been given an opportunity to apply so that their suitability is checked. But I think this bill now proposes that the function of appointing members who will serve in these tribunals will be a preserve of Judicial Service Commission. Madam Speaker, now this elevates members of this tribunal to almost the standards of magistrates, because they will be applying to the JSC, the same body that recruits a Chief Justice, the same body that recruits judges of Supreme Court, Court of Appeal, is the same body that will be recruiting members of this tribunal. This is very progressive, Madam Speaker, and it also gives an equal opportunity to anybody who wants to serve in that tribunal to be given a chance to apply, be interviewed, and then we only pick those who are most qualified to sit in that tribunal, which again undertakes very serious functions. Madam Speaker, the issue of loans has been a nightmare to many cooperative societies. Many cooperative societies have lost their properties, Madam Speaker, because of mismanagement by officials, or in instances where the office bearers take loans without full knowledge from members of cooperatives. And they buy properties, some prime properties in towns, but they wake up and find that their properties have been sold because of loans that were taken by the officials. I'm happy, Madam Speaker, that this bill makes it mandatory, that you must register this charge within the county. So it will be very easy if there is speculation that officials have taken loans, the members can walk to the county headquarters and verify. And they will also be able to know why that particular cooperative society has taken a loan and what will be the use of that money that has been advanced by the bank. Madam Speaker, I really hope that this bill can help us address the issue of management. When I was growing up, Madam Speaker, in Borabu we had a very vibrant cooperative society, which was called Eronge Cooperative Society. And Madam Speaker, we used to milk our cows. We deliver the milk by the roadside. We had a car which used to pick the milk and deliver the milk to the KCC plant in Sotik. And at the end of the month, farmers will go to Tinderet market to receive their salaries. So marketing milk was never a problem. You know, hawking of milk was unheard of those days. But Madam Speaker, you'll be surprised that that cooperative society is long dead. You go to the coffee sector, Madam Speaker, if you go to North Magirango, you'll find so many cooperative societies dealing with coffee. In Ekerenyo ward, there is one called Visembe. There is another one in Bokera, Sakwa. You know, all these trying to bring farmers together so that they can have a good market for their coffee. You go to Kitutu, you will find there is one there called Gesonso. There is another one, I think, called Gerango in Kemera area. So there are so many cooperative societies. You'll be surprised, Madam Speaker. And these cooperative societies help our farmers to market their produce. Madam Speaker, this Friday, just by coincidence, this coming Friday, Madam Speaker, because of the importance that cooperatives play in the coffee sector, I've actually invited the CS Agriculture, Munya, to come to Nyamira and address, farmers, how they can benefit from the coffee fund, how they can enhance management of cooperative societies so that there can be good returns from coffee farming, Madam Speaker. So the bill that, this amendment bill that is before us, Madam Speaker, I'm sure it's going to assist our farmers who are engaging in farming, and as we know, agriculture is the backbone of our economy, to improve the way they can engage in marketing their produce. Because that's the only way, Madam Speaker, our farmers can put more money into their pocket. Finally, Madam Speaker, the county governments have really not played their mandate properly, as envisaged in the fourth schedule of our Constitution. You know, the role of the national government is to deal with policy. That is all, policy. The issue of how to, improve management of our cooperative societies is a preserve of county government. Issues dealing with the regulation, that is a mandate of our county government. But I have not seen investments from our county government on issues dealing with cooperative societies or agriculture in general. I think they have surrendered and left these to be a role that must be undertaken by the national government, which is really not right. That goes against the spirit of our 2010 constitution, and I hope this bill can really be a wake-up call to the county government to understand that they have a very big role to play in assisting farmers market their produce, form groups, come together so that they have more bargaining power as they try to seek markets for their produce. Otherwise, in general, I support the contents that are in this proposed amendment bill by Senator Agnes Zani. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Nyamunga Rose Ogendo.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me this opportunity just to make a brief contribution on the amendments to the cooperative bill. Madam Speaker, the cooperative bill, the cooperative movement has been here for a very long time. And I must say that from what we know, the cooperatives, for example, in the agricultural sector, has really helped to improve the farming or the agricultural sector, in the tea sector, coffee, and even in the milk. And apart from the agricultural sector, the cooperatives have also helped in the general trade in this republic in terms of allowing members to join, and after joining, they improve in access to resources. So I want to congratulate my sister, Senator Zani, for the improvements that she keeps making to different bills, either the past bills or new bills, and she's really done well in that aspect. But Madam Speaker, knowing how Kenyans are clever, you start something today for the benefit of the general good of the people, but there are many other people who come with ulterior motive. I really want to say that I like the amendment that she has brought in terms of Section 72, I think I need to wear my glasses. In Section 72, the Cooperative Society Act, that is of 1997, and giving powers that convict persons who have misbehaved, or if you've been found to have misbehaved or misappropriated any resources in any, I don't think it should be only in the cooperative society, but in any other aspect. So if you have been convicted in any way, such persons should not be allowed to hold offices in the cooperative society, because cooperative society mostly is for the grassroots people who may not be so much acquainted with many things. So they need officials or officials who are very genuine people who are simple, not coming with ulterior motive. So it is important that it is cleansed, the way the registration aspect of it, the movement, the registration of the cooperatives, the running of the cooperatives, and who should be the officials. So to me, that is very critical. But what we must know and put in our mind is the fact that cooperative, they've moved Kenyans from, say, level A to level B in terms of movement, in terms of doing business. And on top of that, Madam Speaker, the fact that nowadays things have gone digital, and cooperative movements have also gone a step higher when it comes to the marketing of the products. You find a lot of products, the agricultural products, in the social media. So if you have this product on the social media, you should be able to find out where you can get your market. And it is trending and moving very well. So this cooperative movement, it should be cushioned from the county level to the national level to make sure that it is seamless. And the moment you hear of a cooperative, you know that you are in the right place, and it's a place that should move you from one level to another. So I support the amendments that have been brought on this bill, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Kindiki Kithure.
Madam Speaker, I beg to support this motion regarding the second reading of the Cooperative Societies Amendment Bill 2020. Madam Speaker, the first cooperative society in Kenya was registered in 1908. And since then, there has been more than 22,000 cooperative societies in Kenya today. Madam Speaker, the purpose of cooperatives is to do business together and also to be able to access credit even as members enjoy economies of scale. Madam Speaker, the cooperative movement in Kenya is one of the most developed in the entire world, and within Africa, I think Kenya has the best cooperative movement structure. And therefore, it's because of this rich history and experience that Kenya becomes or continues to become a trailblazer in this area of cooperatives. Madam Speaker, under Schedule 4 to the Constitution of Kenya, Part 2 and Clause 7E, the role of development and regulation of cooperative societies is vested in the county governments across our country. One would wonder, therefore, why we don't seem to have a lot of interest and county-level legislation around this area, yet the importance and critical role of cooperative societies to turn around the economy of our country cannot be overemphasized. Madam Speaker, this bill becomes important because under Article 190 of the Constitution, the national government, through the national parliament, namely the National Assembly and Senate, is empowered to put in place overarching legislation, even on devolved functions, to ensure that there is benchmarking and policy direction, because as much as these functions are devolved, the issue of regulation and standard setting remains at the national level. Therefore, I see the utility of this bill in the context of Article 190, Paragraph 1 of our Constitution. Madam Speaker, cooperatives are the game changer. I dare say that at the root of Kenya's future is the growth and stability of the cooperative movement. And I say so because all the countries that have developed in the last 50 years, the newly industrialized countries in Southeast Asia and in Southern America, these countries have been developed through two main drivers. The first is the cooperative society movement, which in those countries is called credit unions. And the second one is a very strong cottage industry or small industries in small towns spread across the country, as opposed to mega industries localized in one place. So this country stands to benefit a lot from strengthening its cooperative society movement and building on the experiences of the last 112 years, because, as I have said, the first cooperative society was registered by white settlers as way back in 1908 in this country. Madam Speaker, allow me also, in the same vein, to hail the wonderful contribution that cooperative societies have made in the promotion of health, education, and even housing across this country. Many people across the breadth and length of our land will tell you that they have built their permanent house, they have taken their children to school, they have paid the hospital bills, etc., etc. They have built their businesses and little shops that we find dotted across our land. All those developments and interventions in the social and economic sector have been achieved largely as a result of cooperative movement. In fact, Madam Speaker, it is not surprising that in counties and parts of Kenya where the cooperative movement has been fairly strong, the standard of living in those places has also been fairly high compared to parts of our country where the cooperative culture is not very strong. And therefore, the county governments and devolution gives an opportunity for the parts of our country that have not embraced cooperative culture to catch up with the rest of the country in terms of development. Madam Speaker, the bill starts with the 7 principles that are shared by cooperators around the world. Of course, it adds a few more principles, and therefore it is in line with international best practice in this area. Madam Speaker, I just want to provide like a red flag, because as much as we are celebrating the growth and exponential expansion of cooperative societies across our country, as much as we are celebrating the wealth creation and the developmental advantages that have come with cooperative societies, we are seeing a worrying concern whereby senior officials and directors of cooperative societies are living questionable lifestyles compared to the lifestyles led by those that they lead. It only points to a challenge. I know recently in 2010 or thereabouts, Parliament did pass legislation to establish this, the SASRA, which is the societies, SACCOs and other societies regulatory authority. But I don't think it is doing much. We continue to see the fleecing of members of cooperative unions in the housing sector, that is to do with the housing cooperatives and other sectors. Recently, we have had issues with other sectors in agriculture as well. So, Madam Speaker, I hope through this bill, whether it's at the committee stage or still within the province of the sponsor, my sister, Senator Zani, ways must be sought to provide norms, national norms, on how to hold the senior officials and other people, directors included, who run cooperatives to make sure that they don't steal money of depositors and live like kings when the peasants who struggle so hard to save are living in penury. So that is the only area that perhaps I thought through this legislation and a provision can be thought about as an entry point to strengthen this wonderful bill. Madam Speaker, allow me to conclude by saying that equally there is need to increase the levels of democracy in those societies. There is still a bit of some kind of, the ordinary cooperator, the ordinary member of a cooperative doesn't seem to have very much say in terms of how these institutions are run, especially if they don't have a lot of shares in those institutions. So there must be a way also of making sure that we increase the democracy in those institutions. Madam Speaker, I do not want to belabor the point that this is an important bill, and I look forward to this bill becoming law for the sake of improving the quality of life and the development index across our country, especially at the grassroots. Mr. Speaker, Madam Speaker, with those many remarks, I support that the Cooperative Societies Amendment Bill of 2020 be read a second time. I support.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Masita Naomi Shionga.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me also this opportunity to support the amendment bill sponsored by Senator Zani on the cooperative. Madam Speaker, cooperatives play a very vital role in growing up the communities or members of our societies, and hence making poverty reduction or creating poverty reduction in our rotten communities, especially when members of the communities get themselves involved in these cooperatives. And it also makes it easier, these cooperatives makes it easier to access market, especially when members come together to make it, to access market and make it more cost effective when it comes to marketing their goods or their produce or their products. Madam Speaker, the amendment bill that is brought here by Senator Zani, it is a bill that, when you look at it, it's a bill that supports both the county, especially these, all the counties, especially this time of devolution. And when we standardize the bill, when the bill talks about standardization of policies and key acts that are in this bill, then it really matches with what is current on the ground. Madam Speaker, there are so many key important things that cooperative play in this country. However, when you look at some of the cooperatives, they are money making. People come up with cooperative just to steal. I can use the simple term steal from a poor Kenyan or a poor Mwananchi. We have had many people come together in forming up cooperatives or societies or coming up with societies like the Pota societies, like the livestock farmers. But you get that when they are there, when they are coming up with some of the directors, and I like the word registration and the vetting of the directors or the managers of these particular cooperatives. It's very important for us to look at who are these that are coming up with these cooperatives, because some look at it as a way of enriching themselves. We have seen the railways. It has been a very big sector that has really fostered the economic status of this country. But we have had so many petitions coming to Labour Committee, just where the members are crying for it that through their cooperatives, they have been stolen.
What's your point of order, Senator Kinyua?
Madam Speaker, I have listened to my colleague, Senator Shionga. She's confusing two names, Madam Speaker. When you say people, you say some people start this cooperative for purpose of stealing. That's a different view when you say somebody, they start the same cooperative for the purpose of enriching themselves. Madam Speaker, any person starting a business, it's for the purpose of enriching yourself. So even me, when I start a business, it's for the purpose is to make profits. After making profits, the end game, Madam Speaker, is to uplift my living standards. So when you say that, are we not contradicting the same information? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Continue, and you may clarify for him. I know the two mean differently, but I think she needed the two in different instances.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. When you read carefully the amendment bill that Senator Zani is coming, we are trying to amend where members of the society are losing because we do not have members who are faithful. And being one of the members of the Labour Committee, we have found out so many complaints through cooperatives, whereby members have been lured into poverty, not by their wish, but they have contributed their money or their shares, and their money has been taken by a few who are directors. Just to come to your point, yes, cooperatives are there to enrich people, but even if you go there by a different motive, then I like the amendments because the amendments are going to speed up the time. Vetting is there through registration. Hence, we are going to get the right people to lead these cooperatives. And I think I've convinced you enough. Madam Speaker, I wanted also to say that when we are getting this cooperative, or during the formation of this cooperative, it is important, especially to the sponsor of these amendments, it is important for the members who are getting into this cooperative to be sensitized from the family level to the family level, to a community level, through any other level of this particular cooperative. Because you find that young people come together, especially I've mentioned about border riders, who get themselves in that trap of maybe taking their land title deed or getting some money through other means, and they get themselves as shareholders of this cooperative. When it comes to repayment of this, they are harassed, their borders are taken away, and they are left even in more poverty than they started. So there is a need for sensitization of these particular individuals who get together to start a cooperative so that it can benefit them than regretting. Lastly, I want to say that, Madam Speaker, when you look at the amendments in this bill, we need to support this bill, because looking at the time frame that has been put into place, time frame is very important. And time frame, when you look at the time frame that has been put here of 30 days, whatever comes, it will enable us put off so many that take time, and they get themselves knowledge to coerce by amongst themselves and come up with the ways that they can steal or they can take from unknowing individuals. Just like Senator Musuruve said, we had the pyramid scheme that were there. So many of us, I can say, people rushed there, took money, they put in money, thinking that it was something to grow them, only to make some even get stressed and die. So the amendments that have been put here, I support fully, and I know that it's going to be for the best of our counties and for the best of the lower people who need to come together, because together we can grow this country in a higher level than just looking at one growing up a country in his own or her own style. Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I support the amendment in this bill.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Kamar Margaret Chepkwech.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, for giving me an opportunity. First, to congratulate our sister, Senator Zani, for improving the Cooperative Societies Bill in major ways. Really thank her for doing this, because this is one bill that needed to be aligned to the Constitution. And in fact, I think we've lost a number of years without using the right methods. I say this, Madam Speaker, because we have received petitions from cooperative societies here. We have received petitions from SACCOs. If only we had improved on the law itself, we would not have been worrying about how the management of our SACCOs and cooperatives would be done. Madam Speaker, one petition was read by myself from the Moi University Cooperative Society, Moi University SACCO, where it was sent to liquidation by the Commissioner of Cooperatives, and when the county government requested to be involved in what was going on, they were denied the opportunity, and yet the Constitution has really placed the role of dealing with the management of cooperatives in the county governments. The committee here did a wonderful job, and I thank the chair and the members of the committee who looked at that petition. And as they are looking at the petition, a lot of things came out that actually we have not streamlined how we manage. And that the Commissioner of Cooperatives was still feeling as though there is no role that the county governments play. I'm very happy that those issues have been brought out here, because it is very important that we streamline. It is true that there was a time when we had our cooperatives being very vibrant, and then they went into a very low period. But thereafter, we had a wonderful minister called Joe Nyaka. May God rest his soul in peace, because we lost him when we were in the last recess. He improved the sector, he revived the sector, he brought in a lot of improvements in the management of cooperative societies, but that was before the Constitution 2010 was passed. When the Constitution 2010 was passed, it was envisaged that we would then align the laws of the counties and the laws of the national government functions according to Schedule 4 in such a manner that the management of these cooperatives that had been revived would move in a smooth manner. And that was not done. First, I want to register maybe on behalf of all of us our apology to the Nyaga family, because this is a man who did a lot for this country, but since we are in recess, we do not have an opportunity to send our deep condolences. I know it is past, but we will, if you write the history of the cooperative movement in Kenya, the name Joe Nyaga will always stand out very strongly because of the improvements that he put in the sector. With that in mind, therefore, I want to thank our sister because she has brought out the issues. My hope is that during public participation, the CECs of cooperative were asked to give their input, because even our CEC in Wasingishu was so concerned about how the roles can be aligned so that they can work effectively. They have had a lot of problems dealing with issues that come to the national government, and they are certain because actually nobody knows the role. We know it's only policy that was left for the national government, and I think this bill is going to streamline that. If, just in case, we didn't get enough feedback from the CECs on the ground, I would still urge the mover of this amendment to send word to the CECs in charge of cooperatives in the various counties so that they give us their feedback, because they have a lot of ideas, especially because of the challenges that they have faced over the last 8 years. And I believe if that will be done, then that will be good. I also believe that maybe the committee relevant here is still coming up with their own report, and within the context of the report, we'll be able to get the feedback from the counties. But I really believe that the counties can give us a lot of feedback out of the challenges, because when the committee was interrogating the case of Moi University SACCO, it came out very clearly that lack of streamlining of the roles of the national government and the county government have let us down. With those remarks, Madam Speaker, I want to support and again congratulate Senator Zani for having an eye to see areas of improvement in the laws that we have. Thank you, Senator. I support, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Chebeni Masi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to also contribute in this very important bill. And I'd like to begin by thanking Senator Dr. Zani for coming up with this very critical amendment bill. I think we should have done it like yesterday, but nonetheless, we are happy that it is here. Madam Speaker, cooperatives have played a very important role in this country in terms of ensuring we have development, and development not just economic, but also social development, Madam Speaker. It has created jobs for so many, and this will ensure that their living standards, Madam Speaker, has improved in essence, Madam Speaker. But more so, Madam Speaker, this bill seeks to align the Cooperative Societies Act to the 2010 Constitution, which is very important. It provides a framework in which we'll be able to separate the functions of the national government and the county governments. For some time, as Senator for Wasingishu Kamar has said, there have been a clash in who manages cooperatives in our country. And as she has said, she brought up a petition for the Musco Cooperative SACCO. And it was very apparent that there's a clash in who will manage that cooperative society, and the county government wanted to manage it, but there was a bit of inconvenience on their end, and therefore they could not save the SACCO in time. But Madam Speaker, I'm happy to see that the functions of the national government are very clear here. And one of them is to maintain a national policy, which is very important. But the main one is to maintain a register of approved audit firms. When we looked at the Musco Towers, Musco SACCO petition, there was an issue to do with the auditors who were placed there. And Madam Speaker, we found out that some of them we didn't even know where they came from, and therefore it would be important for the national government to maintain a register of approved audit firms. It is very critical and it is very important. The other role that I've seen under the county government is to ensure that county cooperative societies research. There's a county cooperative societies research and information center, Madam Speaker. This center, I believe, will ensure that we conduct research on management of cooperative societies in our country. We get best practices on how to manage these societies, and therefore, Madam Speaker, it will ensure that this industry grows in terms of how it will help their members. But more so, Madam Speaker, county governments have been tasked to promote good governance in the management of these societies. For we've had members here complaining that many of them have been mismanaged, and it is true. We've seen many of them being mismanaged, and they've fallen. But with this provision, I am sure that the county governments will do a good job in ensuring that there's good governance. In the bill, Madam Speaker, there's a very clear procedure on registration. It sets out clearly how it should be registered, what should be submitted during the registration process. And it's very important because sometimes, some people can go and say we have people are not aware of what they need to submit for the registration. But this sets out clearly what they need to provide. Minutes of the members, copies of proposed bylaws, names, addresses, and signatures of the members, and many of those provisions. But more so, Madam Speaker, it speaks on the timelines. 30 days for me is okay because we are living in the digital world, so I'm pretty sure that 30 days is okay, is enough for a society to be registered. For a long time, maybe you want to register a society, it takes a whole year. But I'm happy that this bill sets out clearly that within 30 days from the date of receipt of an application, a cooperative society should be able to be registered. And there are so many other good amendments that have been put forward by Dr. Zani, and I think many of them have been explained by the other members that I do not wish to discuss. But this generally for me is a good bill. I'm happy about it, and I think I want to congratulate Senator Zani for coming up with this, and I support, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Nderitu John Kinywa, Senator for Laikipia.
Asante sana, Bi Speaker, kwa kunipa fursa hii. Kwanza nataka kumpongeza Senator Daktari Zani kwa mswada huu wa kurekebisha mashirika haya mashirika, Bi Speaker, kwa sababu katiba ilivyokuwa ikibuniwa mwaka wa 2010 tayari hii sheria ilikuwa tayari imepitishwa, lakini kwa wakati huu haya marekebisho yanayotaka kuletwa ya vyama vya ushirika, mimi nataka kusema ya kwamba ni mazuri, ndio yaweze kuambatana na katiba yetu ya mwaka wa 2010. Na ukweli wa mambo ni ya kwamba ukiangalia sheria hii kabla haijabatilishwa vile ambavyo seneta mwenzangu anataka, ni ya kwamba hakukuwa na ugatuzi, lakini wakati huu sasa tuko na serikali za ugatuzi, na vyama vya ushirika vingi viko katika serikali zetu za gatuzi katika kaunti zetu. Kwa hivyo marekebisho yakiletwa yatakuwa kwa umuhimu zaidi, yaweze kuambatana na katiba yetu. Kama vile mwenzangu alivyosema hapo awali, ni ya kwamba hivi vyama vya ushirika vinachangia sana hasa kwa mambo ya watu kuja pamoja, watu ambao wana mapato duni, wanaleta mapato yao pamoja, na Mswahili anasema umoja ni nguvu, utengano ni udhaifu. Wakija pamoja, sheria hizi zimeletwa kuleta ya kwamba watu ambao watakuwa wakisimamia haya mashirika ni watu ambao tabia zao, nia zao na mienendo yao inaangaliwa vizuri, na baada ya kuangaliwa watakuwa wakifanyia haya mashirika kazi kwa uangalifu bila ya kuwa na nia ambayo si nia nzuri. Wengi wao pengine hata wakianza nia yao ni nzuri, lakini kwa vile ambavyo anaona watu wameleta hela zao pamoja, wanaanza kuleta mambo tofauti, Madam B. Speaker. Kwa hivyo mimi nataka kumpongeza hasa kwa sababu sheria hii italeta kuunganisha kulingana na katiba yetu na vile sheria iko. Hilo ni jambo la kwanza. Jambo la pili, ukiangalia sehemu nyingi za nchi yetu ya Kenya, watu wengi wanategemea hizi vyama vya ushirika, hasa watu wa bodaboda wamekuwa wakitegemea hii. Ukienda sokoni unapata wao wanatumia vyama hivi vya ushirika, na sheria ikiwekwa, sheria nzuri, inaonyeshana ya kwamba watu watakuwa wakinufaika, kwa sababu hakutakuwa na watu ambao wanataka kujitajirisha kwa mali ya wengine bila kutumia sheria. Jambo lingine ambalo litasaidia sana ni ya kwamba watu wataweza kujuana zaidi, watu ambao wanafanya biashara moja. Ukitembea mahali, watu wa bodaboda, watu ambao wanapanda majani chai, watu wa kahawa wanatumia hivi vyama vya ushirika ili kuweza kuuza mazao yao. Na kwa hivyo tukiwa na sheria ambazo zimewekwa na ambazo zinafuatilia mambo yanayotendeka wakati huu, itakuwa ni vizuri sana. Kwa hivyo mimi nataka kumpongeza Senator Zani kwa kuleta mswada huu, ndio tuweze kufanya mambo yanayotendeka wakati huu. Hiyo inamaanisha ya kwamba sheria ya katiba yetu pamoja na vyama vya ushirika viweze kuangalia hasa katika kaunti zetu ambazo sisi tunawakilisha. Asante, Bi Speaker.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Mwaura Isaac.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this, Madam Speaker, sorry, I beg your pardon, for giving me this opportunity. Once again, I beg your pardon. I know what it feels to be called Mr. when you are Madam and vice versa, when you're on the chair. So I really want to say thank you very much for this opportunity, but also to congratulate my fellow Ford IFP alumni and fellow, Senator Dr. Agnes Zani. You may wonder what is IFP. IFP was a global scholarship program for social justice agents that identified people from, in a 10-year period, only 4,000 out of 7 billion people were identified by the IFP, and she's my senior, and I'm one of them, and there are many others who have done that. So I really want to congratulate you, Dr. Agnes Zani. You have many firsts, including the fact that even myself as a member of the Speaker's panel, using Kiswahili, we learned that a lot from your father and mother, Teresia K. Zani and Zakaria Zani. I mean, it's good to say that because sometimes people, forget that. But also, currently, you and I are number one in the number of bills that we have sponsored to the Senate. You have 5, I have 5. So again, in the spirit of IFP, really. So this is one of the bills, and you can see its transformational nature. It also happens that you are nominated twice. I'm also nominated twice. Only that you have been nominated by one single party. Isaac Mwaura has been nominated by 2 rival parties. Now, I think with the handshake, they look like Siamese twins. But yes, it actually goes ahead to show that there is something peculiar. Because if that were not to be the case, then we would not be the ones sponsoring the 5 bills. And so speaking to your bill, I want to say that, Madam Speaker, this bill is very timely. It's very timely because it seeks to make small cooperatives away from the big ones that have, developed cartel-like behaviors, where they get money for farmers, for example, and then they use that money to get collateral to get loans, and they even lend money to the very farmers themselves at an interest. So that then, in terms of how much money people get, it is very little. So it's very transformational. And by the way, Dr. Zani, you may not be praised in the manner in which, some of us could be quite voluble, and very, camera friendly. But we look at people like Edwin Burke. They may not have been known during their times, but today we look at how they were able to influence parliamentary discourse. He was a member of parliament from Bristol, I think. And also people like, this gentleman who was able to abolish slavery through legislation. Because as Hayek says, legislation is positive law. It's somebody who has good intentions for his or country. I know. I mean, the law is an abyss. It has been used to circumvent justice. Indeed, even apartheid was legal by the time it was done. So I don't want to really speak to the particulars of the bill because I know that we can converse even in the committee of the whole and so on and so forth. But the spirit, the fact that you have seen, the challenges that our corporates have been facing, and you've come up with a solution. I hope and believe that this shall see light of day before the closure of the 12th Parliament, because as you know, 17 months, yes, they look a lot, like there are many, but actually they may not be enough to process in the National Assembly. But let's hope that in the spirit of empowering, the people, from the ground, bottom up, that this, cooperative societies bill shall find agency. And Madam Speaker, I am of the view that, in our standing orders, it has been suggested before that we be co-sponsoring bills, from both houses, so that when this baby is passed over to the National Assembly, it has another mother or father. Because sometimes the agency of a bill is also who is actually pushing it, and the cloud that they may be, having around, the levers of power and leverage in Parliament. So, Madam Speaker, I really want to say thank you very much, Dr. Zani, and I hope that even when the bill is passed, because I have a feeling that it's going to be passed, that it shall also be properly implemented. Because one of the challenges that we've had in this country is the continuous deterioration of the rule of law, so that then people do not follow that which we have already pronounced ourselves into. Sometimes, of course, you almost feel like there's that, legislative gridlock. I think there is also over legislation. But certainly, that can never be that then we should not be able to pass such legislation, because that is our work. There's an implementing arm of government, but nothing can stop an idea whose time has come. I feel that this is a bill that is going to emancipate many people from slavery, especially latter-day slavery, where the people who produce at the bottom get the least. And a very good example is coffee costing, X amount of dollars at Starbucks. But how much of that actually, percolates to the coffee farmer? Or cashew nuts, for example, or any other crop. And also the fact that we are also now, looking at international, financial systems that are using, mobile phone apps, things like those, fintech. That's what I'm trying to talk about. How then do you, create chamas, if you can call them that way, because that's what we call them, as small cooperatives that really pull together so that people can, create wealth. And they are able even to have, lending ability, and therefore use that as a building block towards the prosperity of this country. So, Madam Speaker, with those many and few remarks, I want to once again congratulate my fellow IFP, fellow Dr. Agnes Zani, and I pray that this bill shall find light of day. I thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Ongeri Samson.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. For me, this Cooperative Society bill is a game changer. Why do I say so? That any country that is able to mobilize savings at the lowest level of those savings, and in this case at the county level, will be a game changer, because there's so much squandering of resources and money at that level that even those who have the need and the desire to make the savings are not able to do those savings because of so many other individuals, the so-called brokers who come in between and mislead the members of society. So what is this Cooperative Society Amendment Bill seeking to do? One, that hitherto this has been a domain of the national government. And therefore the national government has been able to do things at their own pace, at their own will, and within their own timelines. This amendment is seeking to change and realign the Constitution 2010, that now that you have two governments, the national government and the county government, it is important that most of these primary responsibilities, the primary societies are at the grassroots level, and they are being managed by the county governments. It's only reasonable and fair that the societies must also be at the supervision of the county executive. And that's where I'm persuaded to support this amendment bill, because it gives us a meaning that if the primary society, whether it's the society for mama bogas collecting their money and putting in their society, a family society, a youth society, a Juakali society, or any other society, that will help them to mobilize resources for their own use in a controlled manner and in a much more commercial level, rather than this ad hoc basis upon which you get a few clusters of people meeting together, forming a society which has not been vetted. There are no regulations, there are no rules, and therefore members of society end up losing money. Today, I know people are coming to me, appealing to me, saying, we are the society, we contributed each so much money, but we don't know where that money is. When you try to chase the documents of registration, they are not available because the records are either the national level, and if they are there, the files are lost, or the clever ones have gone and misplaced the file, and therefore the poor fellows from the rural setting cannot be able to trace their investments or their assets in any society. And therefore, for me, this amendment of the society bill, the amendment of the society bill, corporate society bill, is so critical. It sets the rules. It assigns responsibility. We have not taken away the role of the Commission of Cooperatives. He's still there to play his major role as a national level and for these mega societies which earn billions and billions, like the teachers' cooperative societies, the farmers' cooperative societies, and various circles that are managed by various bodies and groups, and therefore they are not able to manage them at a local level. But there are these primary societies. Talk of agriculture. There are people who may want to sell bananas from Kisii. They form a little cooperative society instead of being exploited by brokers who come and persuade them to sell their banana bunch at a throwaway price. They can form themselves into cooperative societies. The government has even moved further at the national level and at the county government level to set up cold storages for some of these perishables, like the bananas, like the fruits, like vegetables, and they are very good vegetables, which are herbal vegetables. They are both medicinal and food vegetables. And we want those mamas and mamambogas, the youth group that are forming themselves into rural farming societies, be able to create societies and the cooperative societies where they can pull in their money. And even those who may want to support them financially, they have a channel through which they can put their money through this. Another element that attracts me in accepting this amendment is what happens if these particular little societies are in trouble. I remember when I started the Juakali sector, it was very difficult to be able to get the national support, the national government, to be able to support the Juakali artisans at the local level, because they had no structure. That forced me at that moment to be able to set up the Juakali sector societies or groups in various counties, and particularly in various districts at that time when we used the district focus. Now we have county governments. They have a system that controls these cooperative societies. They have a system that will be able to know the actual membership. And they have a system that can actually locate people at their homes and where they are. And therefore you are able to identify the people at their location, at their home. And if there are any challenges, any problems, then you can be able to channel. And who knows, even the county governments themselves can be able to vote in some support program for this Yuakali system, for these corporate societies at the primary level. And I'm persuaded. Now, I remember when the World Bank wanted to support the Yuakali system, we had to set up what we call the informal settlements for them to be able to channel their resources through some kind of organized system. Now, unknown to many people, these societies take care of the basic home needs. Their primary interest, how will they put food on the table and pay school fees for their children at the home level, at the family level. Therefore, they cater for a need which is absolutely unique in every sense, that you will be able to get the families to be self-sufficient because they have their own small little cooperative societies that they have created to help them address a particular need in that society. In the area of agricultural production, they may have excess production, and they want to channel that excess production to a market. This society can help them to be able to put it into a warehousing system. We have already passed a bill here. It's an act of parliament, the warehousing bill, or an act of parliament rather, which has been set up warehousing facilities in various regions, in various counties. And therefore, these societies, when they have extra resources or extra production, they can recycle or they can channel those small little savings of their earnings through this warehousing. Like the one case which comes in my mind, we have so much avocado in Kisii. And I feel pain when I see people coming from Nairobi to Kisii and they're just paying 2 shillings. And when they come here, the only thing they do is grading, and they add value to these items, and they are sold in outside the country for $5. And the $5 is how much money? 500 shillings. The poor farmer there who has struggled to raise this avocado, he's only paid a peanut of 2 shillings. If they had a primary society on how to do the collection of their production, do the grading, a simple grading, and then be able to say which one are for exports, which are for local consumption, which are the other one. You give, first of all, you give them the skills, you give them the ability to do that grading, then you enhance the capacity to earn more. I think for me, this is the primary element why we need to have this amendment as soon as it can be done, so that people can earn dividends out of this amendment. With those few remarks, I would have liked to go on and on. I support this amendment bill because the Cooperative Society Amendment Bill, because there are very many sections that have been dealt with, and I'm fairly satisfied looking at it, that is something that we can live with and is very important. I support it.
Thank you,
For bringing this thing on the board, because sometimes we forget to thank the originator of the bill, and I think it's appropriate that I make my remarks at that level. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Is Senator Ngangata in the house? If he's not in, we may have to call upon the mover to reply.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I beg to reply and start by really thanking the senators for appreciating and getting the gist. And I think Professor Ungeri, who has spoken last, Senator Mwaura, indeed all the senators, Senator Milgo, Senator Musuruve, Senator Kindiki, they have brought out the meaningfulness of growing our primary societies, especially at that community level. And this community level is entrenched within the counties. For as long as we don't find a way to spur them into growth, to give them the good strategies on how to proceed, to protect them from vulnerabilities, to be able to allow them to be able to better manage those societies, to enable them to know where to seek for help. Indeed, if we don't find a way to legislate so that that legislation can be applied at the community level and at the county level, then we might lose a lot of goodwill and a good sense of development that comes from societies. The correlation has been made. I think it was Professor Kindiki who said this, that there's a direct correlation between how effective and how good societies are and outcomes in terms of health, be it food, be it nutrition, anything else. The 1997 Act clearly was formulated before Constitution 2010. And I think the framers of the Constitution 2010 already understood the capacity and the need to grow this at the county level, Madam Speaker, at the county level. And as much as we have a commissioner at the national level, we need to empower, and this amendment bill wants to empower especially the CECs at the county level so that they can be able to do certain things. It is Senator Kamar who talked about the Moi Sacco Society petition that they brought to this house, Madam Speaker. And clearly, that even at that point, the CEC felt she had no say, and it was at the county level. There's a need in which, especially at times of changes, where we have had national governance coordinating bodies for a long time, and now that we have devolution, we need to be able to understand the meaningfulness of that devolution, being able to not just cede, but embrace that incorporation into the lower levels. Primary societies are very, very key. They are the ones that really start in a very, very major way at a societal level, and they need to be able to be made to grow, specifically up to the point at which they need to come to. The various senators have emphasized on various things. I just want to touch on the key elements that this particular amendment tended or wanted to amend so that it is very clear. It is very clear to indicate here, even as a reply, that the Parent Act itself is very much in place, and it's done very, very well, and it has the structures in place. What this particular Amendment Act seeks to do is to ensure that that part of the fourth schedule that talked about cooperative societies being devolved, that it is done. And I think it was Senator Chebeni, Senator Musurive, who said this should have been done like yesterday, and I think that's true. And I think what Senator Mwaura also said, that let's try to push this law, hopefully that in the next 18 months. I liked the idea of also co-sponsoring, but I know our Constitution introduces or states primarily that legislation will be introduced through a particular house. Senators in the Senate and National Assembly members in the National Assembly. But the same way, Madam Speaker, that we've been able to navigate across Article 110(3) provision for the concurrence of a bill, I think this is the other area that will help us, because, Madam Speaker, we find many of the bills that come end up being lost. So for this amendment, we are strengthening provisions at the county level as far as registration is concerned, as far as rights and obligations of cooperatives is concerned, as far as property and running of the funds, as members have clearly put out, very, very critical. And I think it was Senator Musurube who spoke of societies that collapse when people have actually put in their hope in there. Madam Speaker, sometimes that's all that somebody has to put in there. Look at the ones who are forming, for example, coffee societies or cooperatives in the fisheries, for example, livestock, horticulture, housing, and just coming together. They are doing this because they want to better themselves. So the last thing is for us not to be able to regulate effectively enough so that whatever they've put in gets lost. And I think it was Professor Kindiki who also spoke about the importance of ensuring that the regulatory authority really is very strengthened, and a lot of responsibility put on it to ensure that they're able to be held to account. This is the Sacco Societies Regulatory Authority whose short name is Sastra. They need to be held to account. Senator Chebeni talked also of the need to ensure that the audit processes are put into place, that the processes of tribunals are put into place, and all this are put into place in such a way that we can move in a particular way. I'm happy as a house that we've been able to see the dynamics of the problems that have come about because of not having amendments to the Act 1997, Cooperative Societies Act. And through Senator Kamar's petition, this came out very, very clearly. The whole process of liquidation, for example, raised so many questions, but these questions were only sent to the commissioner to answer, and really just put out that there's no other person to play any particular role. So I think these are very, very critical and very, very important. In fact, it was Senator Kinyua, I think, who also talked about the importance of law. Very critical just to put that into place and ensure that we're all able to pass through. Madam Speaker, without having to repeat, because I said this when I was moving the motion, I just want to say that clause 2D, which is an addition, is really where the emphasis of what should happen at the county level is very well stipulated. Formulation and implementation of strategies, promoting the registration of these societies, promoting value addition so that they even have like advisories to help them through this process, ensuring collaboration and linkages, promoting good governance, and which is very key, performing other functions that are very, very necessary and very, very important. Madam Speaker, I'm so happy this afternoon to have had my fellow senators talk authoritatively about cooperative societies and movements and how they should proceed. And I just want in a special way to thank each of the senators who have contributed very quickly. Senator Orengo, who has also emphasized on the importance of these cooperatives, and especially even at the level of farming cooperatives, right at the level of the common mwananchi, or the, our mwananchi, the distinction between apex societies and primary societies and secondary societies, that distinction really just stipulating the distinction and the separation of what should be handled at the national level, for example, apex society, and at the county level, for example, primary and secondary societies. Very, very key and very, very important, the whole process of disputes and tribunals. Senator Musuruve, who emphasized the importance of these cooperative societies, the importance of legislating on the same, which was very, very critical and very, very important. Senator Milgo, who spoke about management to ensure capacity building, which is very, very key. And I'm hoping that even as we go through this bill, Madam Speaker, and as we go to the committee of the whole, and through public participation, we'll be able to infuse many of these ideas to make this amendment bill even a better bill to serve Kenyans even better. Senator Omugeni also, who emphasized that this is a devolved function, these cooperative societies. Senator Nyamunga, who took us through the importance of registration, the running of these cooperatives, and how they should all be brought on board properly. Senator Kindiki, who told us about the importance again of legislation, the importance of cooperatives and their own development and really contribution that they make. Senator Shionga, who talked about the importance of vetting, sensitization of the individuals. Professor Kamar, who gave us an example of her own SACCO society and some of the areas that we might be able to strengthen in terms of how we move. Senator Chebeni, who told us about approval of audit farming, research and information clarity. Senator Kinyua, emphasizing on the importance of law. Senator Mwaura, my colleague in the IFP program, we've walked that road together very well, and we hope always to proceed in that direction all the time, for emphasizing how timely it is that we need to look at the problems and solutions and be able to bring them on board. And lastly, to our Senator Ongeri, who said this bill is a game changer. Let this bill be a game changer for our communities and our societies. Madam Speaker, I beg to reply and request that the pursuant to Standing Order number 61 of 3, that the putting of the question be deferred to a later date. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Senator, that is granted. The putting of the question is deferred to tomorrow, 18th of February 2021 sitting. Honorable Senators, we are going to defer order number 9 and give an opportunity, and then the next order is order number 10. We want to give Senator Milgo the opportunity. You can start on it, Senator, on your motion.
Order number 10, motion. Allocation by counties of at least 10% of their budget on early childhood development education towards vulnerable groups in the counties and development of a policy to incorporate the needs of children who are less than 3 years of age.
Senator Milgo.
Okay, thank you, Madam Speaker. I wish to rise to speak to this motion on allocation by counties of at least 10% of their budget on early childhood development education towards vulnerable groups in the counties and development of a policy to incorporate the needs of children who are less than 3 years of age. That the Constitution of Kenya, Article 53, affirms that children have basic rights, including the right to education, nutrition, shelter, health care, parental care, provisions that are aligned with those cited in both the Convention on the Rights of the Child and the African Charter on the Rights and Welfare of the Child, to which Kenya is a signatory, and concerned that the current status of daycare facilities in the county are not child-friendly or habitable, and there is need to bridge this gap to capture the playgroup class in the new 26333 curriculum that is replacing the 2-year-old 844 system, and acknowledging that most working parents lack quality daycare facilities, as the playgroup is a safe place for them to take their children while they are at work. Now, therefore, the Senate urges that the Council of Governors, in conjunction with the Ministry of Education, ensure that the counties allocate at least 10% of their budget on early childhood development education towards this vulnerable group, and policy is developed to incorporate the needs of children who are less than 3 years of age. Madam Speaker, this motion was developed based on the fact that while there are many education policies, there is no policy to speak to the under 4 years, Madam Speaker. In fact, on the new system of education, 2633, which replaced the 32-year-old 844 system, was put in place. This system only took the children that are at 4 years and above to PP1 and PP2, and therefore left out the 1 to 3 years of age. Madam Speaker, ECD education experts call upon the county government and Department of Basic Education to develop daycare policy to protect children, bearing in mind that it is through this that we lay a firm foundation for schooling in the future. Madam Speaker, research in this case has established that it is at this level, that is at 1 to 6 years, where the foundation of schooling begins. And in this case, most of the daycare centers that are currently out there are not child-friendly, and they are not even habitable. Madam Speaker, as Article 53 P, C, and E stipulates that their rights, these rights of the children their rights of the children to education, nutrition, shelter, and parental care. What it is that when we leave out the 1 to 3 years, it means they are not actually achieving the rights that belongs to them. And therefore, we are calling upon the government, particularly the Ministry of Education, to actually ensure that this gap is bridged. Madam Speaker, in fact, during our interrogation with my committee, the Committee of Education, which I chair, we did find that across the counties, in all ECD centers, actually the enrollment has actually dropped. And the reasons advanced for this was that those children under 3 years, 1 to 3 years, in this case, were left out because of the fact that the CPC only took the 4 years and above. And therefore, there is need to establish daycare centers, which are important to bridge this gap, Madam Speaker. Actually, if there are daycare centers that are properly put up, daycare centers...
Sorry to interrupt you, Honorable Senator. You will have a balance of 15 minutes to continue moving the motion.
Thank you, Madam.
Honorable Senators, it is now 6:30 p.m. Time to interrupt the business of the Senate. The House therefore stands adjourned until tomorrow, Thursday, 18th February 2021 at 2:30 p.m.